Weather impact alert for you as we are getting started here with some severe weather right here in the Memphis area. I'm meteorologist Kit Thomas. We do have a couple of severe thunderstorm warnings here around the Memphis metro. If we go ahead and take Max 1 here, we can see that we've got a severe thunderstorm around the area that we do have that severe thunderstorm warning for the Memphis area, as well as parts of Crittenden County into St. Francis County as well. We've got that just thunderstorm that has just started to sort of pivot into the mid-south over the last couple of hours here with some pretty strong winds and some large hail as well. So with this thunderstorm, we could see that chance for some large hail up to 1 3/4 inches in diameter. So I'm going to jump over here now as we do have that severe thunderstorm warning in Memphis. If we can take the Max 2 here at the green screen as well, we'll get a full view of that thunderstorm. There we go. All right, so we've got a thunderstorm that could produce some very large hail. So whenever we're talking about large hail, that's 3/4 of an inch in diameter, or 1 3/4 inches in diameter. That can cause some considerable damage. So that's why we have that threat indicator of considerable on this thunderstorm. So as we take a look at the hail size within this storm, we've seen it developing here across parts of St. Francis and Lee County. That's right there where we've got that hail core pushing east. Around the Proctor area, we're seeing the remnants of a previous hail core with that thunderstorm that's moving towards the east right now. So we can get in and investigate some of the hail size that radar is estimating within this thunderstorm. Again, this is just an estimate, but we could still see some large hail with this thunderstorm just right there west of the Hughes area. It looks like we're picking up about 2 inches in diameter within the storm itself. As that falls, it does tend to melt a little bit, but that's why we have that 1 3/4 inch diameter hail forecast with this severe thunderstorm. Also about 1 inch hail around the Proctor area, so probably melting a little bit to a little smaller than 1 inch in diameter up towards that direction as well. So with these thunderstorms, they could produce some of that large hail, and that could lead to damage to some vehicles. So if you're out ahead of this storm, ahead of this hail core, you'll want to be making sure that you're taking shelter, and that maybe your car is under that shelter, possibly under a carport or in a garage if you can get it. It's until 10:30 this evening with that considerable hail threat with these thunderstorms, and it is moving east at around 30 miles per hour. So I want to get just a quick track on that thunderstorm as it's moving to the east, around, like I said, 30 miles per hour or so, just so we can get an estimate of when it could be in your area over the next little while here. So as I just get this adjusted here to 30 miles an hour, I'll go ahead and put that track on as it moves east towards the Hernando area eventually. We'll get that off towards the other side here so you can see it a little bit better instead of behind me here. But looking out towards the Highland Farm area around 10:04, Horseshoe Lake around 10:12. We're looking towards the Banks area by around 10:20, and Horn Lake, it's going to be about 10:45. So you've got some decent lead time for some of this large hail coming through the area this hour. Getting back to radar, of course, we've got some of that heavy rain and some very frequent lightning also showing up right over the downtown Memphis area. So this is not quite the severe threats just yet for Memphis. Of course, Midtown and East Memphis all included within this current warning, but it's not for several minutes before we see that heavier rain and larger hail threat coming in. We've got that big cluster of lightning, though, that's just west of the river. That could be moving into Memphis here very shortly. So all of that very frequent lightning is sort of lining up with the hail core that we've got around the Proctor area there. So West Memphis probably going to see an increase in lightning here very soon. So make sure that you are staying inside, because you don't want to be outside during a severe thunderstorm warning, especially with all of this hail that is associated with it and all of the lightning as well. Backing out, this is about the only complex of thunderstorms that we have around the area. I want to get some information from the National Weather Service as well, so forgive me as I get that pulled up. So sorry for that. All right, so the National Weather Service has been monitoring these thunderstorms over the last couple of hours. So you can see just on the motion of this, the last hour or so, many of these thunderstorms coming from central Arkansas, northern Arkansas. This has been a complex that started up towards far northeastern, around the northwestern, around the Fort Smith, Arkansas area over the last several hours. And it's tracked all the way here to Memphis, So still some pretty intense thunder. Notice on the leading side of this, though, we've got that northward motion on some of these early thunderstorms just getting started. But on the back side of this has been pushing more west. So a little bit of some broad rotation here. So I do want to keep an eye on the velocity signatures just in case this storm decides to rotate and produce a tornado. I'm not seeing anything that really jumps out at me at the moment, so that's some good news for us. And most of the environment right now isn't really favorable for tornadoes to develop, but we're still keeping a close eye on this, as sometimes it can overcome that unfavorableness if the storm does gather a little bit of that rotation as well. Some of these thunderstorms could have some strong winds with them, though. So as we just look at the storm relative velocity, looks like we've got some of those brighter colors showing up in here. So I want to sample them right around the Proctor area, right there, about 54 mile per hour winds. So not quite to the 60 mile per hour limit for severe thunderstorms, but we could still see some pretty gusty winds around the Forest City area as well. 49 mile per hour winds showing up there. So around 40 to 60 mile per hour winds are possible with these thunderstorms. And of course that can cause some damage to tree limbs. It's not going to do too much damage to your house, though you might see some shingles damaged. The main threats are going to be for the large hail and damaging winds with these thunderstorms. As we just get back to the radar now, I'm going to just keep an eye on that thunderstorm, make sure that it's still up to that considerable threat. Again, considerable means that we could see up to golf ball sized hail. So the baseline for severe thunderstorms is 60 mile per hour winds and 1-inch diameter hail. This is a little bit larger hail, so we have that considerable threat of more considerable damage. You can see a lot larger dents in your car. You can see windows possibly. If you've got a chip in your windshield, you might see that full windshield get a crack across it, or even just a proper windshield with no damage on it could start to get some damage from golf ball sized hail. So we always want to keep that in mind whenever we have these kinds of severe thunderstorms rolling through the area. So I want to just put this on a loop, and I'm going to step out of the way so you can just get a glimpse of this over the last hour or so. We've seen these thunderstorms coming through the Forest City area, and they continue to push east. Over the next couple of hours, we're going to still see these thunderstorms probably making their way through the 240 loop and eventually the 269 loop as well. So many of these thunderstorms could be a little bit on the more intense side. Right now, the Memphis radar, of course, only indicating around 50 to 55 mile per hour winds, moving towards the Tunica area, just across the river into Tunica County. So if we could take back to the Weather Center here, Andrew, if we can just get a look at that over here. As we do have some of these thunderstorms just to the, this would be max 1, not max 3, but if we just take max 1 full, that'll work for us. I want to look here at the velocity on these thunderstorms. As recently we've seen just some of those thunderstorms. There we go. We've got that full. Some of these storms have started to produce some stronger winds. The thing is, this is perpendicular to the radar beam at the moment. So the radar is looking outwards from Millington, about in that direction, but these winds are pushing sort of perpendicular to that beam. So it's difficult to get a proper sample. But the Memphis airport radar is showing those winds about 50 to 55 miles per hour. That's a little farther south than the Millington radar, but we don't have that one in our system. I'm just going off some of the guidance from the National Weather Service this evening as well. We are still going to see some of those storms pushing through the area over the next hour or so. Again, this severe thunderstorm warning, as we put that information on your screen, you can see it. If I switch that over to the thunderstorm warning, I'll have to switch back to the radar as well. Forgive me for that. We've got this severe thunderstorm warning right now. Again, the considerable threat until 10:30. They may update that. To my eyes, recently the hail has been shrinking a little bit within that thunderstorm. As that storm's been pushing through, we'll load in some of the previous hail tracks. So this is the path that some of the hail has been making through this area. And you can see there southeast of the Forest City area, some of the largest hail indicated by the storms tonight, up to near 3 inches within the thunderstorm. But recent scans have been dropping that down to about 2 inches to about 1.5 to 1 inch or so. So that'd probably be about ping pong to $half-dollar sized hail there showing up. And then off towards the north, of course, we've seen some of that 1.5 inch hail diminishing down around the West Memphis area, around the Proctor area. We were talking about that just a moment ago. That's starting to move into parts of southwestern Memphis, down towards the Westwood area, and that could be moving towards the airport. So maybe some pea to nickel-sized hail could be showing up for the airport and parts of South Memphis over the next little while. So we'll keep an eye on that. But of course, the larger hail threat seems to be moving south of the Memphis metro proper. So that should be good, but we could still see that moving around 30 miles per hour. Moving towards the Hernando area within the next hour or so. So Hernando, it looks like that storm complex with that hail core probably getting to you around 10:50 or so, possibly as early as 10:45 if it accelerates a little bit. Some closer areas there would be the Bruins area around 10:10, Banks around 10:24, and the Hernando Coldwater area after 10:50 this evening. So we'll keep an eye on some of these thunderstorms over the next little while. Of course, we are on air on CW. ABC has American Idol, so hopefully anyone who needs that severe coverage has popped over here from that, as we don't want to cover up the finale of that show. But we're also streaming on 24+ and on Facebook and YouTube as well. So I'm going to pull up the Facebook comments just to keep an eye on them. And if you have any questions or concerns, we can, of course, address those. So go ahead and pop those in the comments on our Facebook live stream, and I'll have that up here on my other screen as well. There is a chance that we may need to cover our newscast at 10 o'clock, so we will apologize for that in advance, that we could see some of that. It looks like Brent is asking, will this come towards Lauderdale County? Lauderdale County should be mostly clear. You'll still see some rain up that direction, but it doesn't look like the severe thunderstorms are quite going to be that far north. They're pretty much set with just this one single complex that we've got here around the I-40 corridor into far northern Mississippi. So Lauderdale County, you should be fine. But DeSoto County is within the severe thunderstorm warning, as well as extremely northern parts of Tate County, Tunica County, as well as a few other counties there in far eastern Arkansas that we've been talking about. So it looks like the main threat of this is starting to pass through the Mississippi River Valley. But we've got another storm with another warning on the backside of this. So Forest City, you've had a couple of warnings in the Forest City area over the last couple of hours here. But this severe thunderstorm warning is until 10 o'clock. We'll likely see that one expire because that's the previous warning, I believe, for the one that has now gotten extended into the Memphis area. So the National Weather Service may allow that one to just expire on its own, but it is not for this storm that's coming out of the Hunter area. Just outside of our viewing area. So good wind to Forest City. You're still going to see some high winds and maybe some small hail with that thunderstorm, and definitely some lightning as well. Looking at the hail over the last few minutes or so, not much large hail is within that thunderstorm. So this is an old expiring severe thunderstorm warning. I'll just highlight it here for you. This one here is a previously issued warning for this hail core. So that will be expiring here very shortly, and we shouldn't see much more impacts from this. At this point, the severe threats have exited that warning and are now focusing into far northern parts of northwestern Mississippi at this hour. So again, northern Tunica, far northern Tate County, and most of DeSoto County, we've got that severe thunderstorm threat in that area as well. It looks like there's some maybe some small hail just south of the downtown area there in South Memphis, just starting to cross over the river. So we might hear some dings of hail around South Memphis right along that 240 loop, possibly just passing north of the airport. As we loop this over the last 30 minutes or so, we'll say, we can see sort of the motion on some of these hailstones, these hail cores. They're mostly moving east, but they're moving just a little south of due east. So it doesn't look like at this time Memphis, the core downtown, is going to see quite so much large hail. That's probably going to impact more of the Hernando area before it impacts the Memphis area. So if we just put that back onto the radar and get that loop as well, you can see it's sort of pushed south as it's pushed east, as it's sort of coming downwards towards the east there. Let me just get that reloaded here. Waiting for some updates from the National Weather Services. They are keeping a close eye on this. We do appreciate their partnership and their help with this. So these thunderstorms are moving again mostly towards the east, just a little south of east, and they sort of have a northern component to this. So showing a strong velocity signature near the Horseshoe Lake area in southern Crittenden County. So there might be some pretty strong winds coming into northeastern Mississippi as well at this hour. So just getting a look there. Just north of the Horseshoe Lake area, I'm seeing that as well with some pretty strong winds. So let's get some sampled boxes there. Looks like we've got some 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts there. So if you're around the airport, if you're west of the airport, you want to make sure that you're staying inside. Stay away from windows because branches can break off and sometimes can bust a window as well. So you want to be cautious of that threat with these thunderstorms. Though this is a broadly rotating system, I'm not seeing anything that would indicate any tornadic rotation. It has to be that very confined couplet style of a radar signature, and we just really don't see much of that. Some of the outflow here is creating just a little bit of that gust front here, so you can sort of see that there's this almost a front there. That's the wrong front I should be drawing on there. This should be a cold front, but you can sort of see just some of that outflow to that storm. I'll just grab my draw tool here. You can see that sort of curvature on the outside. So that's where we're seeing some of those winds pushing in from the northwest as these winds are moving in from the south. So that sort of broad scale rotation is something that we're going to keep a close eye on just in case these storms do begin to produce any sort of tornadic signature with them. But right now that is not showing up. Looking still at the velocity, though, we do still see some of those winds pushing in pretty quickly to the radar site. The National Weather Service is saying that a microburst was detected in Shelby County, just southwest of downtown, around the I-55 bridge. So when we talk about a microburst, that's an area of strong winds that come down very quickly and spread out along the surface, and that can produce some pretty widespread severe coverage. We are coming up on our newscast at 10 o'clock, so we're going to be joining into ABC here very shortly. So if we could just get an update on the timing of how long that is. Okay, we are just now entering our ABC 24 News at 10 o'clock, so we appreciate you sticking with us this evening after American Idol. I'm meteorologist Kit Thomas. We are jumping in on ABC in continuous severe weather coverage now as we have a severe thunderstorm warning across parts of Shelby County, including Memphis and including parts of DeSoto County, as we have a chance for some very large hail and some damaging winds. So we're preempting for right now our normal newscast at 10 o'clock that we would be jumping into right now. Hopefully this warning can drop down some of its intensity and we can resume some of that coverage of some of your weekend headlines. But we do have a considerable tag on this severe thunderstorm warning. So when we say a considerable threat, that means it's above the baseline for a severe thunderstorm, which is 60-mile-per-hour winds and 1-inch diameter hail. This is producing nearly 2-inch diameter hail, about the size of a golf ball. So we've had some of that radar indicated threat of very large hail moving in to some of the core part of the metropolitan area. So that could cause some more widespread damage. Although recently I've started to see some indication of that hail is shrinking. It's not quite below severe thresholds just yet, and this is just our in-house estimates. The National Weather Service has their own methods of determining the hail size, but excuse me, this is still about 1.5 inches across, so about the size of a ping pong ball. That can do a little more extensive damage to vehicles, to your roofs, to plants. If you have any garden plants, this hail could probably do some intense damage to that. One thing that we do notice, if you've been watching on our streams or on ABC 24 Plus or on CW, I did mention earlier that the severe thunderstorm warning for St. Francis County should expire. That has expired now, so that's some good news for us. Well, we do have the chance for these thunderstorms to continue. Looks like we've got a few questions on our Facebook as well. So if you are watching on air and you'd like to ask me a question, you can jump on our Facebook live stream, ABC 24 Memphis on Facebook. You can pop me a question in there. We've got a couple of theirs. Charlie, thank you for acknowledging the coverage here as well. We had a question earlier about Lauderdale County, so I'll readdress Lauderdale. Really anywhere north of Shelby County, we're not seeing really anything. It's just a little bit of light rainfall, no chance for severe thunderstorms to the north. At the moment, we've got sort of a boundary across our area in a warm front. You can sort of see just right along there, it's sort of northwest to east southeast or so across the area. So that's where we're seeing these thunderstorms developing. Once the moisture crosses that boundary, it starts to form that thunderstorm. Up to the far north, though, that's where things just really don't have enough energy to tap into. So up towards the Blytheville area, Marktree, Covington, even Somerville, maybe just right on the cusp of that. We're not really expecting any severe weather north of I-40 this evening. So jumping back into this severe thunderstorm warning, I did see a moment ago it was flashing to indicate an update of that thunderstorm. They have dropped the considerable tag and is now to 1.5 inches. So that was just what our radar product was showing a moment ago, of 1.5 inch diameter hail just outside the Horseshoe Lake area. So that's going to be heading towards Hernando. Still severe, still going to be some large hail, still going to do some damage with that, but it is good to know that that hail threat has diminished just a little bit here. So let's push this east. Hernando, we'll give you a long heads up here around 10:43. We'll say 10:40 just in case it's already a little bit closer. The Banks around 10:15 area time frame there. Cub Lake, you're looking around 10:27. Dean's Corner just after 10:30, which would technically be after the end of the current warning, though they may extend the warning for a little while. So we'll keep you informed of that threat at the moment. As we have these thunderstorms still pushing east, I'm going to just get a loop of this over the last hour so we can sort of see, get a sense of this thunderstorm's motion. And we'll go ahead and clear off that box. We're hearing here at our studios in northeast Memphis some rumbles of thunder, so decent thunder coming through the area. Again, this is the last hour or so with this thunderstorm. It's now just starting to cross over the river. An hour ago, it was about 30 miles away. So moving forward around 30 miles per hour is going to be the trend for the next little while, it looks like. So I want to take a more wide view on this single thunderstorm. Again, this is just a single severe thunderstorm warning right here over our core viewing area. And this is where we've got the chance for some of those thunderstorms rolling through. But I do want to show you here around the Memphis area. You're probably hearing some of that thunder. Our studios are right there at the flyover, I-40, I-240 interchange right around in there. And we're hearing some of the lightning here. So if you're in downtown Memphis, you're probably hearing that lightning already. West Memphis or anywhere south down towards the Horseshoe Lake area, some very frequent lightning with these thunderstorms. So that's an intense thunderstorm. Let's just get a quick investigation of how much lightning we've seen in the last 10 minutes with these thunderstorms. Looks like we've had about 387 strikes within the last 10 minutes alone. So that's some very frequent lightning within these storms. That's going to just continue to pick up over the next several minutes here. I'll get that information on the screen. There you go, about 400 strikes now within the last 10 minutes. So very frequent lightning. You always want to be away from windows, away from exterior walls during severe weather. Lightning can also pose a hazard. So if you have any computers or heavy electronics, making sure that those are unplugged or at least have a power surge protector for those electronics as well for the threat of the lightning with these thunderstorms here. So this backside of the storm around the Forest City area, this is not a severe thunderstorm warning for the Forest City area. That previous warning was allowed to expire, so that's some good news, but we do still have some more lightning rolling in. Some folks curious about the possible tornado threat with this. This isn't really a tornado signature with these storms, so that's some good news, but we could still see some strong winds showing up here around the Walls area. This is around Highway 61 in Westwood. eventually going to move towards South Haven and the airport and other parts of South Memphis. So I want to get some of the pixels investigated here of what we're seeing for those winds. At least in the elevated part of the thunderstorm, we're seeing over 60-mile-per-hour winds. That could easily translate to the surface as some very strong wind gusts. So you want to be making sure that you're away from windows and doors and outside walls whenever we're talking about these kinds of gusty winds that could come through. These aren't going to be widespread damage, but we could still see some pockets, some neighborhoods, multiple city blocks that could see some damage, especially to trees and any lightweight outbuildings as well could see some damage from that kind of wind. But at this point, I'm not seeing anything else that would indicate that this storm is intensifying anymore. It seems like it's had its most intense run. If we just look at the track of some of the hail, previously out towards the east or the west, I should say, excuse me, we did see some stronger storm indication of larger hail. That's sort of that orange bullseye you see right there southeast of Forest City. And that's where we've had some of those larger thunderstorm impacts. But now it's starting to shift down to around the 1.5 inch diameter. So that's still going to cause some damage, still going to be intense. But Memphis proper, not seeing the immediate impacts from this. So that's some good news on that side of things. Once again, we're on air on ABC 24 and CW30, also streaming on our 24 Plus app. If you don't already have it, you can download the 24 Plus app on Roku, Fire TV, and Apple TV as well, so that you can watch that on your smart TV. You can watch us anytime for severe weather coverage and for our news coverage as well, anytime on those apps. And of course, you can also download on your phone and watch us there as well. The ABC 24 app is in the App Store and Google Play as well. So I want to take a look from the Midtown camera. Excuse me, this is the flyover where we're starting to see some of those storms really pick up. I believe this will be the Midtown camera as well. So this is definitely showing that we've got some pretty heavy rain there east of downtown, really starting to pick up with the lightning flashes with those storms as well. And probably going to start to pick up over the next little while as well. So also taking a look out towards East Memphis. We'll get the East Memphis camera here as well. I think that'll be it. We'll check that if that's the correct one. Some of these have jumbled up a little bit, so forgive me for that. But this is actually the Cordova camera. It doesn't look like we've got a whole lot of activity right now in Cordova, though we can still see some flashes of lightning there in the distance. We're keeping a close eye on our eyes around the Memphis metro in the way of some of our cameras that we've got here. Getting back to radar, though, of course, we've had some of these storms rolling through the area over the last couple of hours. And they're just now starting to get into the Memphis area. So over the next several hours, we're still going to see them pushing east and continuing to diminish in intensity. Some of the models have been putting them a little too far to the north. So switching over to a forecast model here. They're a little far north by a couple of counties, a little late on the resolution, but just look at the timing and the scale of some of these storms. As we get past 11 o'clock, everything, once it crosses the Mississippi River, everything really starts to scale down and is much less intense and turns into just some rainfall for us. So one good thing is that this is not going to last all night for us. And through the day Monday, we're going to see much less chance for severe weather. As we get into Tuesday early morning, though, just past midnight there tomorrow night, we've got some dying thunderstorms across northern parts of Arkansas that could bring us some rain overnight into early Tuesday. Sort of a second wave is modeled here as we get to around the daybreak time frame. Maybe around 7 o'clock, we'll have a line of storms as you're headed out on your commute on Tuesday morning. After that line moves through, we still have a pretty strong southern wind across the area, so that's going to pull in more and more moisture across our area. We'll see some breaks in the clouds, and that'll allow some storms to bubble up once again in the afternoon. So we've got a couple chances for some severe weather here over the next couple of days as we've got behind that line, everything should begin to diminish. So that'll be some good news for us. After we clear things out on Wednesday, we're pretty much done with severe thunderstorms for at least the next few days here. But for right now, we do have a couple of chances for severe thunderstorms. So let's look at the Storm Prediction Center outlook across the area. Tonight, we've got just a level 1 threat. That's what we've got right now for some of these thunderstorms to roll through. Primarily just wind and hail. Not much chance for any tornado threats with these storms. And then tomorrow night, really, this is still around the area as we have that next line that's going to be pushing in from northern Arkansas and then dying as we head overnight. But then Tuesday, we do still have a level 3 threat across our area. So this is going to be from around the Mississippi River to points east from there. We'll see those storms continue to push through. So we're calling this a weather impact alert day on Tuesday for those severe thunderstorm threats. Again, wind and hail at this point look to be the primary threats, but we can't rule out the chance for any isolated tornado risks as well. So we're keeping that in mind. We've got an update on that severe thunderstorm watch. It is now only for parts of Shelby County and far northwestern Mississippi. All of Arkansas has been allowed to be dropped out of that severe thunderstorm warning. So I want to get some information just once again on your screen so you can follow along with me. They've now added the tornado possible tag to that thunderstorm, as well as the considerable threat for the severe thunderstorm. So they've sort of switched it now. So instead of the hail being the main threat with this, it's now transitioning to more of a straight line wind threat. They've dropped the hail down to 1 1/4 inches. That's about the size of a $50 coin. And they've upped the winds now to 70 miles per hour. So those are stronger winds now about to move into the Hernando area. We've got a comment here from Joe about Hernando, his power flickering. We could see some thunderstorms impacting your area here very soon. This very specific severe thunderstorm right now moving into the Hernando area. So lots of rumbles of lightning coming through the area at the moment. So hopefully you can stay safe, stay inside for these winds, as they could be some pretty strong winds rolling through as well. I want to take a look from the National Weather Service for their judgment on that. On that storm. Of course, they mentioned the tornado possible. So I'm keeping an eye right here, right along I-69 there. That's where we see maybe an indication of some brief rotation starting to spin up. So we've been talking about how the storm didn't have initially a favorable environment, but it could push into some more favorable energy. And just with the nature of the storm, sort of having that broad rotation with it, it could potentially spin up a quick tornado. So we always have to be very cautious and very cognizant of the changeable situation of a severe thunderstorm. Sometimes they can ramp up very quickly and the situation can change. So that's why you always want to be checking back in, not only on the forecast, but on radar whenever things are evolving with a severe thunderstorm threat like we have this evening. Give me just one moment. I'm going to take a quick sip of water. So the National Weather Service is saying that the Memphis Airport radar site had a better signature than the one north of the Memphis area. So this is this radar that we have access to is in the Millington area. So you see just that spinning line there. That's the center of where we have that that radar site. But there's a stronger sense of just south of the airport. There's another radar site there, and that has a better sense of some rotation developing within this thunderstorm. So that, of course, is why the National Weather Service added that tornado possible tag within this storm. So the thing is, the farther away you get from the radar site, the higher and higher you're looking at the thunderstorm. So that can lead to some difficulty of getting the surface level indications of if it's producing a tornado or not. But sometimes whenever we have a higher elevation view, we can miss things that are happening at the very, very surface, so very low levels. So what we're seeing here is sort of the outflow of this thunderstorm here. And then we've got these thunderstorm winds that are getting pulled from the south to the north, or the environmental winds, I should say, versus the thunderstorm winds are pushing in that way. So if you think about that kind of a cross section there, when you have these perpendicular thunderstorm winds, that can induce a bit of rotation. So anywhere along this line here, we could see a tornado spin up very, very quickly. So if we just switch this manually back over to the radar, you can see that this is actually within the thunderstorm right now. So that's where we're seeing a potential really anywhere along that line, but I would be most suspicious of this northern section of where we could see some rotation possibly produce a tornado. We have seen just a little bit of very weak, broad circulation just south of that I-69 corridor there. So keeping a very close eye on this right now as well. Looking back out to a more wide view, I'm starting to hear some rain coming down here in East Memphis. So we've just got a little bit of light rain out ahead of it. Midtown, it's definitely a downpour at the moment. So probably seeing some pretty heavy rain out towards the Midtown area. I want to switch the camera view back over to that so we can just get a sense of what it looks like from the Midtown area. Lots of heavy rain. Folks still out there on the roads. Of course, you could still see some impacts from the heavy rain leading to maybe some ponding on the roadways. So if you are headed out this evening, drive carefully. I wouldn't necessarily say you need to avoid driving in this, but if you don't have to, if you can delay your driving, that might be a good idea for the next little while here. Temperatures around the area are still in the 70s, even though we've got some of those thunderstorms coming through. Some pretty frequent lightning you can see there as well. Excuse me. Most of our temperatures have started to drop in the wake of some of the cooler air after sunset and just the rain starting to come down. But the dew points are still in the 70s, so it's very muggy out there. And of course, it is also raining at the moment. Here's that severe weather risk once again, as we've got that area of a level 1 risk. So that's the marginal threat. That's usually starting around the baseline severe thunderstorm warning characteristics of 60 mile per hour winds and 1-inch diameter hail, but we can sometimes see that upgraded a little bit. Like I said, tomorrow we're seeing some thunderstorms coming through in the overnight, and then we could still see some severe weather on Tuesday morning and Tuesday evening. The main threats once we get to Tuesday, switching over to a little more of the forecast details here, the main threats are going to be 60 mile per hour winds and 1-inch diameter hail, possibly stronger than that, possibly larger than that, but the baseline of this is at least looking to be more of a wind and hail threat. But we also could see some isolated tornadoes with this storm system as well, and the flooding rain threat is also possible with these thunderstorms. Over the next couple of hours, we look forward. Once again, we're getting back to sort of the same model we were looking at a moment ago. This isn't really modeling exactly where these storms are, though they could still produce a similar motion. Notice how they push east and they start to fizzle out as we head over the next couple of hours. I think that's going to be the case we see probably within the next hour or two here across the Mid-South. And then tomorrow morning, we may see another round of some early showers there. I'll back that up here. Maybe across the northern half of the viewing area, we could see some thunder showers at around daybreak. Once we get to Tuesday, this is around midnight Tuesday morning, we've got a line of storms that'll be sort of dying out as they get to eastern Arkansas. But by daybreak, we could see another push of a line of severe thunderstorms. Again, straight line winds and maybe some large hail with that, as well as very isolated tornado threat as that pushes through in the morning. And then we could see sort of another round of this as we get into the afternoon, but likely less severe. Right now, it's starting to look to be more of a morning severe event rather than an evening or overnight severe weather event as we get towards the Tuesday timeframe. Back to radar now, as we have seen these thunderstorms developing over the last couple of hours with some very frequent lightning. You can just see all of that lightning, goodness gracious. Looking from Tunica to the Arlington area, that sort of square box has seen 450 lightning strikes just in the last 10 minutes. There's some very frequent lightning now that is starting to move into the Memphis area, South Haven, Hernando, also seeing that lightning threat right now. So we're keeping a very close eye on this. Of course, we We are monitoring the developing weather situation, so we're keeping a close eye on some of those comments. But we do ask that we keep things to weather as well, just so that I can get some questions answered if needed, and any severe weather reports that do come in. So if you have seen any severe weather around the area, go ahead and pop in the comments. Let me know if you've seen any hail, if you can measure it safely. A great way to send us reports is in photographs. Make sure you have a coin just for a relative size base in the picture as well. Or if you have a ruler, you can use that. But something standard like a nickel, a dime, a quarter, a golf ball if you have golf balls, if you get out golfing. That's a good size comparison for larger hail as well. As we still have some of these pretty intense lightning strikes coming through, still want to keep that in mind. We're looking back towards the velocity here, and it does look like it's tightening up just a little bit right there. That wind signature right there outside of the Hernando area. So if you are in Hernando, you want to be seeking shelter, staying in your shelter. Of course, whenever we talk about shelter, whenever we're talking about tornado threat, we want to give you those tornado safety tips here. Sorry, I skipped right past them there. We'll get back to them here. So if you're in your home, lowest level of your home, probably a basement if you have it. If you don't, an interior room like a closet, under a stairwell if you have a second story to your storm as well. And there they have the new tornado warning that's just been issued right here where we've been talking about Hernando, Alphaba, Ingram's Mill, all within this tornado warning now. So we've sort of been stalling. We've been keeping up with the severe weather coverage on air and online, just sort of being cognizant of this evolving situation. So now we do have that suspicion of a tornado about to develop here. Just a very small tornado warning. These are going to be very quick spin-up tornadoes. This kind of setup doesn't really lead to these long track tornadoes that go more than 25 miles. These could be very quick jumping kind of tornado style, so that's going to be something that's very short-lived possibly, but definitely something that could still pose a threat. Even if it's a short-lived tornado, it can still do a lot of damage. So if you do live downstream of this thunderstorm, right there, sort of around that intersection of Interstate 269 and I-55, that's where we've got this area of rotation that's been showing up over the last 20 minutes or so. You can sort of see right there along Interstate 69 west of Hernando, it's been developing, and we've had a couple of pulses of these of the rotation starting to pick up with that. So just zipping back here over the last 20 minutes or so, we've seen just right there parallel to I-69, eventually 269. That's where we could see some of that rotation possibly producing a tornado. So you do want to be in your tornado shelter at this time. Of course, we were reviewing those tornado shelter safety tips just a moment ago. If you're in a high-rise or in a multi-story building for your home, you want to seek shelter at the lowest level of that, possibly a stairwell. If it's an interior stairwell, that'll be a good space to be. If you don't have an interior stairwell, maybe your stairs are on the exterior of the building, maybe go find a neighbor who lives on the first floor, knock on their door, see if you can seek shelter with them. Good time to meet your neighbors during severe weather. Help each other out at this time. So, of course, this is going to continue to push east, it looks like. I'm going to get some information on this. This is a tornado warning until about 11 o'clock is when they have the expiration on it. It's moving around 35 miles per hour. So I'm going to get you a track on this storm as it continues to push east around 35 miles per hour. I'll put it out to the Byhalia area eventually. That'll be around Byhalia, probably around 10:50 or so, probably 10:45 the earliest. Ingram Mills around 10:45 as well. The Bright area, you're sort of dead ahead of this area of circulation. It's been moving due east. So if you're around the Bright area there, in northern or parts of DeSoto County, sort of central DeSoto County, I want you to be seeking shelter now, as that storm could move into your area here very soon, possibly with that rotation producing a tornado. Looking back at the radar, you can see that we've just got a lot of heavy rain with this. So One thing to keep in mind is you aren't going to be able to see this tornado if it is on the ground. In fact, you're not going to be able to see it coming because it is going to be rain wrapped. Where we were just looking was right around in here, right around 269 and I-55. That's where the rotation is, and it's within a blanket of a curtain of very heavy rainfall. So we're not going to be able to see this coming. I know a lot of folks want to go out and check on a tornado, like see if they can see it coming before they take shelter. That's not the case to do right now, as this storm is not going to be able to see it. Plus, we've got the chance for some very heavy rain and the lightning as well around the area, and the strong winds could still be possible with that. Abundant lightning with this thunderstorm right now as well. We've seen hundreds of strikes within 10 minutes within the lifetime of this thunderstorm. You can sort of see on the shape of this storm here on the backside, we've got sort of a rear inflow jet. You sort of see that cone shape or a backwards C shape there. That's where we're sort of seeing a punch in the backside of this thunderstorm of some very strong winds. So even disregarding the tornado threat, there is still going to be a very strong wind threat. The severe thunderstorm warning for parts of Shelby County, including Memphis and DeSoto County and northern Tate County, is for 70-mile-per-hour winds. So that can do a little more widespread damage than just the isolated tornado threats. Those storm winds could produce some of the damage that we've been considering here this evening. Looking back at the velocity, just to keep a close eye on any recent updates, it looks like it's sort of skipped ahead in the latest scan ahead of the I-55 corridor now. So now that's moving on east there. So if you live around Bright, Lewisburg, Ingram's Hill, right there on Smith Road. If you live along Smith Road between Hernando and Ingram's Hill, you're going to be taking shelters. That rotation could be jumping around your area here very soon as well. Keeping a close eye on some of the southern extent of this storm as well, as we're still seeing these strong winds moving inwards and moving outwards there. So that can produce some rotation anywhere along sort of that gray line that we've got leading this. Of course, where it's tightened up the most is right there around the Hernando area. But really anywhere along this line, we could see some quick spin-ups. Whenever we have thunderstorms that produce a tornado from an individual isolated thunderstorm, we call it a supercell. That's where you sort of look at the back of your hand and you see the hook of your thumb. You can sort of see the Spock fingers as well. That's the classic supercell structure. This is not a classic supercell. This is more of a complex thunderstorm system. We call it a mesoscale convective system, an MCS. It's just a complex term for a group of thunderstorms that have all sort of congealed, and they are starting to produce thunderstorms along the leading edge of some of those strong winds. So of course you can see if we just drop down some of the radar sensitivity down a little bit lower here, you can see sort of where the winds are gusting out of this thunderstorm, not the severe winds necessarily, but you can see just sort of that long green line from around Helena, West Helena, up towards Senatobia, and then within this thunderstorm here, give or take a few miles of the exact location of that. But that's where we're seeing sort of that transition from some of that straight line winds to the rotating winds. Looks like they just dropped, they allowed the severe thunderstorm warning to expire. So that was the yellow box that was around the area, but we still have this tornado warning in place here just around the Hernando area and pushing east. The National Weather Service also confirming what I was saying just a moment ago, that if there is a tornado, it's going to be rain wrapped, it's not going to be visible. So you want to be inside seeking shelter with this thunderstorm. If you're around the Lewisburg area, Lewisburg down towards the Cockrum area around Alphaba, those three regions are sort of right there where we're seeing some of the rotation of this thunderstorm. I'll give you a sense of what I'm looking at when I say rotation. You can sort of see some of those brighter winds. Those are moving outwards, and then the light green to gray are moving inwards. So that is a whole broad area of rotation, and that broad area can sometimes get congealed into a single rotation. A single tornado can get produced very quickly. The thing is, radar takes some time to spin around, and so in the minute or two between some of these radar updates, we're not going to be able to see what is happening. So you always want to be sort of aware that this has shifted over the last couple of minutes since the last updated radar. It has shifted east, so we are looking at a closer time of arrival for the Lewisburg, Ingram Mills area for this. So I'll get just a quick forecast cone on this here. It's moving around 35 miles per hour. So I'm going to draw this ahead of the line, just estimating of where it probably is now, since this is an older radar image the last couple of minutes. So Cockrum could be rolling through your area within the next 4 minutes. So now's the time to go ahead and move to your safety shelter. They've updated the warning now to a severe thunderstorm warning downstream from this. I'll get to that in just a moment here. Lewisburg, it's going to be in your area in about 5 minutes, 4 minutes now at 10:32. So 10:36, it'll be about 4 minutes away from you. And Ingram Mills, we're looking at around 10:40 for when this area of rotation could be arriving. So here's that new severe thunderstorm warning. This goes all the way out to the Oxford area. So Ole Miss, you might just heard your phone alerts going off as the new severe thunderstorm warning was just issued for the Ole Miss area. This also includes Senatobia there in Tate County, Holly Springs, and Marshall County. So we'll get some of that information on the screen so we can just see when this is set to expire. But it's going to be for the next little while here. 11:15 is when this warning is set to expire. The threats right now are for 60-mile-per-hour winds and 1-inch diameter hail. And they've not included the tornado possible tag with this on that new warning, as probably they're assessing that the tornado threat is diminishing with this. So I want to take a look at that for myself just to see if that's what they're looking at. So just to recap, we've seen right along the Interstate 69 corridor out towards sort of the southeast from there, for the last half hour or so, we've seen just this area of rotation. There's the start of it, just to the west of Dean's Corner. And then that's pushed east, almost due east, right along that arrow. Some of the more intense rotation was right here around 10:20, about 10 minutes ago or so, 12 minutes ago at this point. And that's continued to push east and sort of broadening the circulation. So it's no longer as tight of a circulation, but it is still an area of rotation where you can see some of that spin within that thunderstorm at the moment. So with those storm winds, we could still see some broad rotation, and not only just the rotation, but you could still see some strong wind damage as these winds are around the 60-mile-an-hour mark. Some of these outbound wind speeds here and those pink shades are still upwards of 60 miles per hour. So that still could produce some strong winds. The National Weather Service is also addressing that right now in our conversation online here. So many of these storm winds are embedded within heavy rain, so it's going to be pretty rowdy, especially with all of the lightning. Just look at the incredible amount of lightning within this thunderstorm, all the way up into Shelby County and down to northern Tate County. We'll just get an investigation here of this box. Around 625 strikes just within 10 minutes. So that lightning strike has been, that count up, going up and up and up over the last 30 minutes or so as this complex has sort of broadened. But also look at this. We've got a lightning strike that is well out ahead of that thunderstorm, all the way past the Moscow area there. So I want to get my ruler here. That is about 30 miles away from the nearest heavy rain. So this is one thing to always consider whenever we're talking about severe thunderstorms in the vicinity, not just over you right there. There's that old Fleetwood Mac line, thunder always happens when it's raining. Not technically true. Lightning can strike well out ahead of a thunderstorm and can produce that kind of a hazard. So you always want to be aware of that if you are anywhere within the vicinity of the thunderstorm. So Holly Springs, Abbeville could see some lightning even though you're not seeing any rain at the moment. keeping an eye on that tornado warning. They have trimmed the box a little bit. It's still present, but going back to the velocity signature, still some pretty intense winds with this. I think it's starting to transition more to a wind threat rather than the tornado threats. It's still possible. And one thing that sort of keeps my eyes open is just right there on that leading edge. I'll go back a scan or two. It's very brief. It may have just been a product of the update, but there's still a potential, as these are winds moving south and these are winds moving north, that we could get some rotation really anywhere along that line. So that area of rotation could be up here, could be down here, possibly down towards the southern end, though it's more likely where it sort of zags back towards the western side of the storm rather than zagging back towards the east and on the southern side. So keeping a very close eye on just this developing situation, but for the most part, this is transitioning to a straight line wind threat. As we look at the hail tracks with this thunderstorm, it was producing some very large hail about an hour ago in parts of far eastern Arkansas, there around St. Francis County. There was reports of golf ball sized hail out that direction. Now the hail has not been quite so significant, though it is still present around the Arkabutla area, about an inch probably reaching the ground. Thing is, it always melts as it falls through the column, so it may not be quite to that inch or over an inch diameter size at the moment. Got to stay hydrated when we're talking about severe weather for an extended period here. Of course, with those winds leading to that straight line wind threat, you can also consider straight line winds a similar safety protocol as tornadoes, just staying away from windows and exterior walls. You don't necessarily have to get to a basement, but being aware of any trees you may have around your home. If you've had any limbs that have gotten broken, these severe wind gusts can possibly break those loose, and those can fall. So staying inside, staying away from trees and away from windows, it's always a good policy to keep in mind around the area as well. So with these thunderstorms, there's plenty of lightning. So of course, using electronics at the moment, unless you have a surge protector, not going to be the best policy at the moment. But just an incredible amount of lightning here. Drawing a box around that thunderstorm, very intense lightning, and it seems to continue to increase the lightning. Now we're up to around 700. The last couple of times I've gotten the box around the lightning, it's been 600, 500, 400, 300 the first time I looked at it about an hour ago. So some very intense lightning. And one thing I want to call your attention to is the positive strikes with this. There's two different types of lightning that can come from the bottom of the storm, which is a negative charge, and lightning that can originate from the top of the thunderstorm, which is a positive charge. And those are usually more powerful lightning bolts. Lightning is lightning. You don't want to be struck by it no matter the charge, but this is just more an indication of the power within the thunderstorm at the moment that we're having so many positive strikes, 571 in the last 10 minutes alone. And then this one way out to the west here, that's probably going to be a positive lightning strike there. Yeah, that's a positive strike. We do have a new severe thunderstorm warning just popped up here on the southern end of Shelby County and into extreme northern Mississippi there. So this is parts of Marshall County, Benton County, and DeSoto County. This new severe thunderstorm warning, I'll pop that information on the screen for you, is until 11:45 this evening. At the moment, the winds are the primary threat. It's not warned for the hail threat. The hail threat is up to nickel size, so 0.88 inches across. If you ever wondered how wide a nickel is, about 0.88 inches there. That's not severe, but it could still be something we see develop over the next little while. So they've sort of transitioned this to more of a bowing segment of this thunderstorm. You can sort of see, I mentioned it before, sort of how that shape of the storm is bowing forward. And on the backside, you can sort of see this inflow jet there, right there. So that's the tail winds pushing this storm forward. That's where we're seeing sort of the the source of this storm's energy that's keeping it moving forward. And then on the southern side here, that's where we've got sort of the outflow. So the sort of the exhale of the thunderstorm that's pushing to the south. Meanwhile, we've got winds that are coming from the south to the north, overrunning that and then helping to sort of enhance, it looks like, enhance some of the convection there on the southern side of that thunderstorm near the Coldwater to Independence area. So that's probably where we're seeing some of the hail threat within that thunderstorm. That's where we're seeing some of the stronger updraft signatures. As we look at the hail tracks recently, that's about where the hail track has moved to and is possibly pushing through. Alexis is asking on Facebook, is there an active tornado right now? There's an active tornado warning. We have not gotten confirmation of a tornado on the ground, but the area of concern is right here, just to the east of the Hernando area, possibly headed towards Red Banks eventually. That's where we've seen some of that rotation recently. But the main threat now is transitioning over to the strong wind threat, as we're not seeing a very tight couplet. If we saw a bright red next to a bright green, that would be a very tight couplet there, but we're seeing just the broad scale rotation of this thunderstorm. So my concern is mainly for, as Melanie responded to you there, we're looking mainly at the threat for strong winds, because within that area of pink, we're getting winds upwards of 60 miles per hour. So those straight line winds could produce some damage as well. So we appreciate you chiming in with some questions there. We are on Facebook if you're watching us on YouTube or on our 24 Plus platform or on air on CW30 and ABC 24. We appreciate you joining with us tonight. We apologize for covering up some of the late evening programming as well, but we just want to keep that severe weather threat in mind as well. I'm going to pull up the YouTube stream just in case we have the comments up on that as well, so I can answer anyone watching over there. Doesn't look like we've got the comments on that one, so that's we'll move right back to Facebook. Melanie is saying extremely high winds around the Cockrum area. We were talking about Cockrum just a moment ago, so those very strong winds, that would be the severe winds that we were talking about. Some of those bright pink shades there showing up. So Melanie, appreciate that report. Hopefully you are staying safe this evening, staying indoors, away from windows as this thunderstorm threat passes. It looks like it just sort of jumped over the 305 corridor there, Ingram Mills Road. Probably still seeing that as it sort of jogs north as it moves towards the northwest, or northeast, excuse me, from the Cockrum area towards Ingram Mills. Some very strong winds within this. Some of those brighter shades right around in there, still showing up around 67 mile per hour winds within that thunderstorm. So Jessica's asking, do you expect any threats for Shelby tonight? So most of Shelby County, the threats are what's happening right now, and that's going to be some strong winds and possibly some small hail. The hail's not really the main threat with this, though we're seeing still some heavy rainfall and very, very frequent lightning. So I'm mostly concerned with the heavy rain and the lightning for southern Shelby County. If you live south of I-40, that's where we're looking at the better chance for this thunderstorm. That's where we have that severe thunderstorm warning out towards the Collierville area. If you're north of I-40, you're not within the severe thunderstorm warning, and you, I won't say are in the clear, because we do still have the lightning threat, but we aren't seeing the severe threats off towards that direction. So Jessica, appreciate you watching us with us this evening as well. Just an insane amount of lightning, though, with this thunderstorm. We've seen upwards of 700 strikes within it over the last 10 minutes or so. Now we're over 750 strikes, predominantly positive strikes coming out of the top of the thunderstorm. So some very, very intense, some intense lightning. Report here from Cheryl, the Center Hill area of Olive Branch. Olive Branch not even showing up behind all of the lightning. A ton of lightning around that area. So very noisy for you from the thunder and from the rain as well. It looks like the heaviest rain band is over Olive Branch and Cedar View right now. South Haven, you're sort of on the backside of this, around the airport area. That's where we're seeing everything sort of wrap up with this thunderstorm at the moment for you. East Memphis, around the Colonial area, around Sea Isle Park, probably picking up very quickly, moving on into the Germantown area. If you're in Germantown or Collierville, It's about to get pretty rowdy as we're starting to see this thunderstorm push towards the east, right there along the 385 corridor there, southeast of Memphis. Lewisburg, that's where we've been seeing the chance for that rotation. Ingram Mills, I want to keep an eye on that rotation now. Excuse me as I just rehydrate there. Joe saying, get ready for it. I just got all of it in Hernando, currently without power in the Hernando area. So some strong winds that came through that area. And I'm seeing just right here south of the Ingram Mills, a quick little spin up, possibly a tightening of that circulation. The National Weather Service saying that they are going to be dropping the tornado warning and then upping the severe winds to 70 miles per hour. But I'm wondering if they have seen just this quick last update of that radar scan. They sent that message just before that radar scan popped up there. So just that most recent tightening of that rotation could potentially drop a quick tornado. So we always want to be cautious about this, as these storms can spin up very quickly and then spin out and produce a tornado in between radar scans. It's entirely possible that they can last much less than a couple of minutes, which is about the time that it takes for the radar to swing all the way back around. So I want to keep a close eye on that. Even though they've dropped the warning there, I want to ask about that possible rotation here. So just ask them a quick question there. Yeah, we've seen some reports, though, some other folks saying in chat here that there were some power flashes in the Hernando area. So we're keeping a close eye on that. We're getting a power flash here at our studios here in East Memphis. I think a lightning strike might have just happened nearby, as we heard a rumble of thunder just right after that as well. So Cockram is also out of power. The tornado warning has been allowed to drop, but this severe thunderstorm warning is very likely going to be updated to include that 70 mile per hour wind threat as well. So we're keeping a close eye on multiple threats with these thunderstorms. Of course, whenever we're talking about power outages, sometimes that can be that can sometimes be from just straight line winds, but answering the National Weather Service. Whenever we're talking with the National Weather Service, we're trading insights, we're trading information, asking questions. So I was asking about that rotation that was just very, very briefly there around 1046, right around Red Banks Road. So this was what my eyes were seeing as some brief rotation, though that may have not may have just been a radar artifact. Sometimes the radar can get tricked by some rain, some hail, something else, some side lobe contamination. It's a complicated thing to say, but basically the radar beam is not a laser point. It's more of a bowing structure that goes out to in one main beam, and then there can be some side beams that shoot out the edges. And sometimes if it's looking in one direction and some of the side beam picks up on some hail, it thinks it's all just from the one place it's looking. And so that can sometimes contaminate the radar signature there. So that may have been what was happening. It's difficult to say for certain whenever we have something like this happening. Just examining the debris detector, there really hasn't been much on here that would indicate a strong enough rotation to produce a tornado. And I really don't see anything on the debris that indicates any sort of debris. So they're saying that there is going to be some rotational signatures along the surging outflow, but nothing is significant at the moment. So that's some good news that they they're keeping a close eye on it, and there's going to be just those quick little areas of rotation that kind of spin up and spin down. I'm going to ask our production if we can take Max 3 full, Chroma Max 3, if we can pull that up really quickly. I want to take a look at another report that was being presented in National Weather Service chat. There was some potential slowdowns on Interstate 55, just right there around the Hernando area. So that's where we saw potential area of rotation. Sometimes as severe weather happens, we can see on traffic sort of a proxy of where the damage had occurred. While it's impossible to say for certain if it was a tornado or not, it could have been straight line winds or possibly a wreck or something, some hazard on the road that could have produced this slowdown. But just right there outside of the Hernando area, certainly a slowdown being picked up by max traffic this evening. But again, we also have along Interstate 269 and 69 a couple areas of some slowdowns in that area. So it could be just from the weather, from the heavy rains, from the high winds, possibly some storm winds knocking it down as well. As we just return back to our regular radar here, I'll take you back to that spot here where we saw that area of rotation pass over. You can grab the right button here. All right, so we'll take that back to right around that Hernando area where we saw that traffic. So that is where we saw some of the rotation cross over. So we'll keep a close eye on that. Of course, if there are any reports of damage to the National Weather Service, they'll be out over the next couple of days to conduct damage surveys. But the counterpoint to it might have been a tornado, it might have just been the straight line winds, because here we see around just before 10:30, some of those winds were 58 miles per hour. And that is severe. Severe, a lot of times we always talk about 60 miles per hour. Technically, they forecast in knots, and 55 knots is the threshold for severe weather, and that converts to 58 miles per hour. Whenever they warn it, they just round it to the nearest 5 mile per hour to make it simpler. So 60 mile per hour is where we call the severe thunderstorm threshold for a warning, though technically 58 is severe. So all the technical parameters aside, we do have this sort of Boeing segment. You can sort of see that forward push of this thunderstorm now right here. You can sort of see if you connect it back towards the southwest, that's where we've seen this push forward of those winds advancing forward much faster than the rest of the line, and that is where we've seen the greater threat for strong winds to the order of around 60 to 70 miles per hour. So the current severe thunderstorm warning is for 70 mile per hour winds, so that's why we have that considerable threat tag there on the fourth line of that warning at the moment. So excuse me, until 11:15, so another 20 minutes on this current warning. We could see some of these pretty strong winds as well. These winds are moving around 35 miles an hour to the south and east. So I'm going to clear that off there. And I just want to get some of that advancing line forecast forward. So I'm going to jump out ahead just a little bit, push that out. So places like Abbeville, you've got about to 11:15, so near the tail end of this warning, they may need to reissue it downstream from there. But nearer places, we're talking about Galena in the next couple of minutes. We could see some of those stronger winds really starting to pick up around your area. You're going to notice the winds switch from out of the south to out of the northwest as these storms roll through. Holly Springs, we could see it around Holly Springs around 11:05, we'll call it. Higdon around 11:13, Abbeville, like I said, 11:15, and eventually to the College Hill, Ole Miss area around 11:20, 11:25 or so. So many of these storms could produce some pretty strong winds with that outflow of that thunderstorm. So keeping a very close eye on that. Of course, we see very clearly on sort of the backside of this where we've had sort of that old rotation, we've still seen some very powerful winds just outside of Ingram's Mill. South of Byhalia is really where this is. More people are probably more familiar with Byhalia, down to the Warsaw and Watson area there. some pretty strong wind gusts right around that region. So around 60 to 65 mile per hour winds showing up presently on radar as they're pushing towards the south and east. Excuse me a moment. Jump back over to Facebook, see if there's any comments I've missed. I see there is our chief meteorologist, Trevor Burchett, who's jumped into chat as well. Lauren was asking about sirens going off if the warning had expired for South Haven. So that may have been for the county. Whenever they sound the outdoor warning sirens, they're not just for tornadoes, though in this case it was. They sound them for the county, not for the individual location. So there's, we always say to be aware of multiple threats, have multiple ways to get warnings, I should say. So outdoor warning sirens are one way to get those warnings, but they're meant primarily for outdoor hearing. That you might not be able to hear them inside every single building. The next layer of severe weather information to think of is in your settings on your cell phone. If you turn on the wireless emergency alerts, think like Amber Alerts, tornado warnings as well. If a tornado warning is issued for your exact location, not just your county, which is the outdoor warning sirens, if your exact location pinged by a nearby cell tower is within the confines of a tornado warning or a significant severe thunderstorm warning, that alert will be sent to your phone. So if you didn't have the warning sent to your phone, you're very likely not within that warning. And currently there is no severe no tornado warning for anywhere of DeSoto County. That was allowed to expire. So that's some good news. If you are hearing those sirens still going off in the South Haven area, hopefully they shut those off shortly. I'm unfamiliar with the process of how that goes. So I can't tell you when they will be off, but that is unlikely to be any more threat for the DeSoto County area. But thank you for telling me that so that we know that that's happening. I'll relay that to the Weather Service possibly, or if Trevor's watching, if you can pop in Weather Service chat and ask them as well. The storm in South Haven, we're still seeing sort of the back edge of this right now rolling through. But it is pretty much wrapped up for South Haven for the severe threats. You're still going to hear a lot of lightning and thunder around the area, but there might be another round of some rain, light rain, non-severe storms rolling through South Haven. So South Haven, you're pretty much clear. Blytheville, Arkansas, you're also in the clear. Just some light rain north of I-40. If you're north anywhere of I-40, you are not expected to see any severe thunderstorms tonight, so you can go ahead and go to bed and rest easy. Horn Lake, Mississippi, also not within any severe thunderstorm threat, though we do have a thunderstorm coming through. It's not really going to be, it's not shown up there, but it's not going to be anything severe for the Horn Lake area. We're getting even more power outage reports. Go back through some of the older comments here. Brittany giving a comment about the Hernando area with some power outages there. So we've seen, if we could possibly pull up the, I have to turn on my IFB here. If we could pull up the MLGW power outage map, I'd like to see if we can pull that up on air at some point. Also, Andrew, I'm getting a little bit of feedback from the on-air IFB. If you could switch that off for me. Thank you, sir. Thank you. My appreciation to everyone else here at ABC 24 this evening for being forgiving of the weather. We've got to take over. I know we had a great show prepared for you for 10 o'clock. Had a lot of great headlines at 9 o'clock on CW, and we had to preempt that for this evening's severe weather outbreak as we've got this evening. But appreciate our folks in production, Andrew and Michael Antonio, for helping me out to get this together. Kevin McNamara, of course, for he's been the most forgiving because I kind of stole the show from him this evening here. But this thunderstorm is moving into Holly Springs, so if we've got any neighbors down towards the Holly Springs area, you're probably hearing that lightning get a lot closer now. Some around you has already been popping through, but the abundant lightning is just now starting to move through northern and western parts of Marshall County. A lot of lightning with that thunderstorm. So that could knock out power. That could lead to a very noisy evening, possibly waking some folks up there as well as these thunderstorms are rolling through tonight. Still got to be very aware of the many threats that come with these thunderstorms. It's not only just the hail threat and the tornado threat, but the 70-mile-per-hour winds on the southern storm and the abundant lightning within these thunderstorms as well. So a lot of different threats with these storms tonight. I don't think that the tornado threat is going to be as present any longer. As we look just over the last couple of hours here, I'll slow this loop down. You can see how that storm has sort of gained this spiraling motion to it. It's not really spin, but like it's kind of spin. It is basically because of the environment. The storm has out ahead of it very strong southerly winds, very strong west-northwesterly winds behind it. So that is leading to this circulation within the thunderstorms complex. But now it started to take on sort of this backwards C shape here. So you can sort of see right there within the brightest red colors. And then in the middle, we've got sort of this inflow notch there from the back side of the storm. So this is a straight line wind signature. Whenever we talk about straight line winds, that's not tornado winds. That's going to lay everything down parallel versus tornadoes. The damage tends to cross over itself. So less threat for a tornado at the moment, as when we look at the recent velocity scans, we're not seeing anything that's a very tight rotation, though on the sort of forward flank of the storm, we do have that outburst of strong winds. So the National Weather Service saying the storms are a bit farther from the radar site now, but still a very impressive wind signature, approaching the Abbeville area very soon and really starting to move into Holly Springs as well. So if you're in Holly Springs, you want to be seeking shelter inside this hour, a little closer to the interior of your home rather than on an exterior facing wall. So I'm going to take a break from my heels here, my dress shoes. So I'm getting an update from my producer here, Andrew. So he's saying that we've got that outages map. I want to take that now as we see here around parts of Shelby County, we've got some outages from MLGW. Looks like some of those are just on the south side of the 240 loop there. So that could be some pretty strong winds that rolled through that area. So that's just right there around the Oakville area. Some outages showing up there on the map, and a little more. It looks like around 4,000 customers have been affected by that. So that's right there along Lamar Avenue. Some pretty intense amounts of power outages there as well. So that thunderstorm wind can knock out power. Of course, if there's any tree limbs that are hanging low or hanging near power lines, that can knock out power very quickly. And sometimes when the severe winds come through, they can blow whole trees down, and that can fall over power lines as well. I know MLGW has been doing a lot of work the last couple of seasons to clear some of the tree limbs. They just cleared them from my backyard last fall, away from some of the power lines behind my house. But we've got several areas now into Marshall County where we could start to see some power outages come in as well. As we get back to the radar here, as we still see some of those very strong winds, like I said, into parts of Marshall County. So this is right there between the Galena and Aiken area. The Tullahoma area is showing up here on our map. I want to get a sample of some of these winds showing up on our radar. Around 60 mile per hour winds, 57 to 63 or so. Some pretty strong wind gusts within this thunderstorm. And that, of course, can do damage, so we want to be cognizant of that threat. It looks like that last radar scan just came through, so we can clear that off. Looks like the scan is getting higher and higher the farther and farther away, the more south we get from the radar. But it's looking less widespread in that severe wind category. So once it jumps from the red to the pink, that's sort of a color jump so that we know that it's getting up into the severe winds. It looks like it was just a quick burst of some very strong winds there. So Chulahoma probably still seeing at the surface some strong winds here. But we do have sort of a sign that this is on a weakening trend. But we could still see wind gusts up to 70 miles per hour as well. Charlie, appreciate the comment there. Appreciate you watching here. So we appreciate you watching and sticking around with us this evening. Earlier, we did cut in briefly with our first severe thunderstorm warning. We cut in briefly over American Idol, and I do apologize for that, but per our policy, we did need to at least get that on air and direct you over to the CW30 news just so that we covered all of our bases here as well. But for the most part, looking on the wide view here, not a lot happening aside from this single complex of thunderstorms now moving into northern Mississippi at this hour. Most of the thunderstorms started over the last few hours here. I'll just bump this back over the last 4 hours here. Before we had any severe weather, we had just sort of a complex of messy thunderstorms, just some scrap there north of Little Rock. But that eventually got a little more organized. You can sort of see we've got sort of 2-3 cores within this. There around the Patterson area, near the Wynn area, and back behind Searcy. Those 3 clumps of thunderstorms congealed into 2 and now have sort of become still 2 complexes of thunderstorms. The leading one, though, has been the main threat for the storms recently over the last couple of hours here. Looks like they're drawing up a new severe thunderstorm warning that's going to be downstream towards the New Albany area and towards Ripley. So it looks like this is going to be more east rather than south towards the Abbeville area. It's looking like it's taking more of an easterly trend rather than southeasterly. So we're keeping an eye on that as it'll be moving downstream and eventually moving out of our area. Of course, the Piperton area is still seeing some strong rain. There's that new warning. We'll look at that in a moment. Some strong rain around the Collierville to Piperton area. Moscow, eventually Grand Junction, you're going to be seeing this along with an abundance of lightning. But this severe thunderstorm warning is not as intense as the southern half of it. We're looking at about a little under a quarter the coin, 25-cent piece there, maybe up to around nickel-sized hail within a thunderstorm, and 60-mile-per-hour winds as well. Southern end here, where we've got that new severe thunderstorm warning, you just saw that pop up. That now includes Thaxton to New Albany to Ripley there. Abbeville still technically within that thunderstorm warning box, the new box there. Hickory Flat, though, you're sort of dead center on this new severe thunderstorm warning. So I'm going to clear off that lightning, so clean up the picture a little bit more. And let's get some of the info on your screen as well so we can go through this together. They still have that considerable tag. So when we talk about a considerable tag, that's just extra language to say, hey, it's not just the baseline severe, that's 60-mile-per-hour winds. There's something stronger with this that can do a little more widespread, a little more intense damage, and that threat is the 70-mile-per-hour winds with this thunderstorm. It looks like we're transitioning away from hail. This started off as a golf ball size hailstorm with that threat initially around the Wynn, Arkansas area. Now it has transitioned to a straight line wind threat, and as it transitioned, there was a quick spin up, a possible tornado in DeSoto County, right there along I-69, 269 there. Give me just one moment as I refresh myself. Still got several people watching on Facebook and on YouTube as well, so we do appreciate you all watching on multiple platforms this evening. Of course, we're also on air on CW and ABC 24. Got those screens, this is our air check screens up behind me here. Make sure everything is still going out over there, so that's good to know. But also, if you were watching on our 24 Plus streaming app on any of your smart TV platforms, we appreciate you having that downloaded as well. Of course, whenever we have severe weather coverage, you can always watch it on the streaming app, as well as I just noticed my husband texted me an hour and a half ago if I was staying late because of these thunderstorms. Yes, is the answer. But this is sort of moving right down I-22 into northern Mississippi. Eventually, it'll be moving away from our viewing area. But right now it is still within our northern Mississippi communities. We did have some early morning severe thunderstorms. I apologize we were not on air for those. But sometimes we just, it happens in between some of the staffing. This is just the two of us right now, myself and Chief Meteorologist Trevor Burchett. But we do have a thunderstorm this evening that we're keeping a very close eye on. And of course those winds still pretty strong with the storm, though they're not showing up quite as strong as they have previously. We just sort of rewind this over the last half hour or so. You can see back there towards southern DeSoto County, we had the bright pink areas there. So those shades are what we color severe winds. You can notice up in our banner here, grab my pointer tool. Up in our banner, you can see the reds go into pink, and right there at that pink divider line, that's where we jump into the severe category. And then once we get into that hot pink color, so that fuchsia, that's 75 mile per hour winds or stronger, and eventually destructive, that's much, much stronger. I think that's either 90 or 100 mile per hour winds. Not exactly sure where the color table is. Either way, we haven't seen quite that strong winds yet with these storms. So that's some good news. Now we're just seeing some of the red, so that's showing up more into the strong winds, but not quite severe winds at the moment. That being said, as we're moving farther and farther away from Memphis proper, and specifically from Millington, where we have that actual radar site, we're starting to see farther and farther up into the thunderstorm. So I'll draw a little diagram here. If you just stick with me, I'll pop it back over to the radar here. I'll draw a quick diagram. Whenever we have a radar site, we'll draw a little circle here. So this is a radar tower, we'll call it. It sends out the radar beam, and as it goes out, it goes farther and farther up above the surface. And so we're not seeing anything that is down here at the surface. So the farther away we are, say 50, 80, 100 miles, we can't see down to the surface. So where we may have some very strong winds at the surface, they might not be showing up on radar, so they might be just down here. Radar can see the winds that are up here, but sometimes they're weaker up here, and then as they drop to the surface, they can accelerate as they smash into the ground and push outwards. We call that a microburst. So we may be seeing still at the surface severe winds. So appreciate you bearing with the crudity of that model of radar and how that works. I need to make like an actual graphic so I can pull up a scene to explain that at some point. So I'll make a mental note of that at some point here. It looks like we've got an update on that severe thunderstorm warning on the northern end of this line. It's now no longer including parts of the core Memphis area, but Germantown to Collierville still within that severe thunderstorm warning. The main threat is just the lightning and the potential for some strong winds up to 60 miles per hour on the northern side. So Collierville, Rossville, Piperton, Moscow, and eventually to the Grand Junction, Michigan City area, Lamar, Early Grove, and Casey there, all within that severe thunderstorm threat for us as well. So we've got that single severe thunderstorm warning on the northern end. Looks like the back edge severe thunderstorm warning has been allowed to expire. That one was until 11:15, so now it has passed by 11:15, but this next one is until, I believe, 11:45 here. So that's parts of Marshall, Pontotoc, Tippah, Union, Benton, and Lafayette County there for considerable threat of 70 mile per hour winds as well. So we appreciate everyone sticking around with us this evening as we're just kind of babysitting radar this hour, around 11:15 now. We've been covering this since about 11:45, I believe, when we had that first severe thunderstorm warning for Shelby County. And that's when we broke into programming on CW and covered up our ABC 24 news at 10 o'clock with the severe coverage as well. And then, of course, we did have a brief tornado warning as well in parts of DeSoto County, not Shelby County, DeSoto County. I know we did have some folks saying, Brendan Clegg here around 5 minutes ago said that Hernando had their sirens going off. Sirens should no longer be sounded across DeSoto County. I apologize, I don't have the person who issues the sirens to go off, but at this point, all of DeSoto County is under, I'll put an asterisk on that. Technically, there is a far northwestern corner of DeSoto County here. I'll just draw right there, like right around in here. There's just sort of a corner of DeSoto County with that current warning, but effectively DeSoto County is completely out of any severe weather threat. So those sirens should be off. But the thing is, sirens are intended to have you seek further information. So I appreciate you jumping in and asking that. Sirens are intended for outdoor use. They can be for tornadoes. They can be for very large hail. Usually it's for baseball-sized hail that's just shy of 3 inches, and for destructive winds, which is upwards of 75, 80 mile per hour winds. At this point, the threat has completely dropped for the Hernando area. There is one severe report from around 10:23, trees down in a yard just off of Terra Drive. So that's where we were seeing some strong winds roll through, and that's also where we saw an area of rotation. The thing is, you can still get straight line wind damage underneath the area of rotation, and it might not have been from a tornado, but it could have been a tornado that briefly touched down. So there's still some things to just wait at this point. Wait for the National Weather Service to go out and survey that damage and see what sort of wind did come through. Also south of the Forest City area, there's another severe weather report here around 9:25. There's 1 inch diameter hail there just outside of Forest City. So a couple of severe weather reports this evening. Of course, if you have seen any large hail or any damage from winds, pop into our Facebook chat. Let me know. I'll relay those reports on to the National Weather Service as well. So there's some leading edge outflow outside of the Holly Springs area. I should look at the velocity, not the hail for that. So that's what we're seeing here around the Holly Springs area. So a little bit of broad rotation, but unlikely to be producing a tornado. Sometimes whenever we have sort of that curling edge, that sweeping edge ahead of a line of storms, sometimes that can produce some some noisy motion within the storm, but that isn't always rotation that could translate to a tornado. So still keeping a keen eye on some various things here along this, but I'll show you just right here along this edge. So of course you've got that gray to red line there. Then we sort of have a split here, sort of double line there. That might be the outflow that's actually leaving faster than the storm front as well, and that's exactly what it is. So you can sort of see you've got that green band out ahead of the heavy rain there in the yellow and orange. So that's where we're seeing sort of the outflow. The winds of that storm have sort of decoupled from the parent thunderstorm. So when we see that decoupling and we see sort of that outflow leaving the storm, that tends to be a sign that that area, at least just this zone, not north of it, this zone here is seeing a weakening trend. It's less significant winds on that side of it, though we could still see some strong to severe winds on the north side of that split of those winds. So getting back to the velocity picture here. Again, just north of that, around the lake-centered Potts Camp, right there along Interstate 22 is where we've got some of those strong winds. Some delayed reports out of DeSoto County from emergency management. Just outside of the Craft Road and Byhalia Road area, winds changed, picked up and shifted, inflow to the north, hearing roaring but unable to identify direction. So that was around 10:31. So I'm going to back this up. Back in the last hour here, we've seen some areas of rotation, and sometimes as storms push through, they can, as the winds push down, they can sort of whip and pan if it's a straight down, or sometimes they can turn as the storms rotate, and that's where we had some rotation there just outside of the Hernando area. Craft Road and Byhalia Road, see if we can find some of those roads on there. It'll be like finding an eagle in a haystack possibly, but Byhalia Road up towards the north there. Craft Road may be difficult, but that is right around where we had some of that rotation passing overhead. So we may have had a tornado. We may have had some straight line winds. It's impossible to determine only from radar and without having any debris signature in that area. Looking around 10:31. There's no clear debris signature with this. So of course you're seeing some of the yellow in there. It's impossible to say if that was a tornado from the data that we have. So we'll wait for the National Weather Service to do a survey if they need to in the next couple of days. So of course, if we do get confirmation of a tornado, we will bring you that information. It's been a very active year so far for severe weather. Just to recap, of course, we want to keep you aware of your tornado safety tips, just in case we do have a tornado that drops down. Going to a basement, smallest room of your home, most interior room, not an exterior closet, more interior closet, under a stairwell is usually a good place, especially if you're in a tall building with multiple floors, seeking shelter at the lowest floor there. Here's a look at just a month and a half ago. We had 30-some tornadoes here, 35 tornadoes across the National Weather Service Memphis area, which is a little bit wider than our counties. But that single event had over 160 tornadoes from that. Meanwhile, outside of just this event, the Memphis National Weather Service has had, I think, 54 tornadoes so far this year. And that's so far, which broke the annual record of a whole year of 53 tornadoes. So this is already the most active tornado year on record for the National Weather Service Memphis office. Maybe 55, we'll see. But if we do have that confirmation in the next couple of days, we will bring you that information on air and online as well. I want to see how much lightning there's been within that complex in the last 10 minutes, and we're already up again to 827 strikes within the last 10 minutes alone. So a ton of lightning with these thunderstorms. I would almost say that that's kind of the primary threat with this storm at the moment. As these storms have just continued to just throw out so much lightning and also very strong winds up to 70 miles per hour. Excuse me one moment, I'm going to take a quick sip. Drinking straight vinegar up here. No. So we've got all that lightning, of course. We've got a decent sign of some strong winds within the Potts Camp area. Not as widespread as we've seen with this storm. As we were mentioning earlier, though, we're getting farther away from the radar site, so that's making it difficult to see the surface winds. We'll get just a quick measurement of how far we are from the radar site. Of course, you can see that line that's sweeping around. That's simulating the radar sweep there, but just starting right there from the radar site north of Millington all the way down to Potts Camp. Yeah, we're 59, about 60 miles away. Excuse me. That's where we've seen some of that strong wind elevated. I don't have a tool here to see how high it is, so I'm going to a radar app on my phone here. If you're wondering what radar app I use for my personal stuff, it's RadarScope. It's a great app. But I just looking at how far up that beam height. Yeah, the beam height is around 4,200 feet. So that's pretty high. That's almost a mile, not quite a mile, about 3/4 of a mile or more, where we're seeing some of these strong winds here. So that's around the Potts Camp, Lake Center, Hickory Flat area. That's where we're seeing some of the strongest winds. That's going to continue to bring that severe weather threat. So that's why we're staying with some of this coverage this evening. I'm thinking as this begins to move down towards the New Albany area, just to give you a heads up of what our plan is as we're developing the plan, kind of as I speak. Once this begins to move out of our viewing area, the core winds of this, I believe we will drop off of air, but we will maintain coverage on 24+ and on Facebook and on YouTube until all the warnings have been allowed to expire. So that's some information just to think on if you're watching on air. Hopefully we aren't covering up any programming that you were excited for or anticipating this evening. Earlier this evening, we did have to cover up a short bit of the finale of American Idol. I do apologize for that. I've enjoyed American Idol in the past as well, but I have work now, so can't really watch it as much anymore. But we do apologize for cutting over that, but we do have to bring that severe weather information as we get it. We try to make it as short as possible. Around Potts Camp, I think that's really the best place for some strong winds right now. Around Bethlehem as well, Bethlehem to Hickory Flat, we could see some of that strong wind moving in that area too. Seeing some old comments here, apologize I missed them there. Brittany's saying, we live off Mahalia and Craft and it happened closer to 1045. Okay, so we've had some pretty strong winds around 1045 around that area. And it looks like a large tree down across Pleasant Hill Road before Lauder Road in Bridgetown. I'm going to pass Lynette's comment on to the National Weather Service. Just give me one quick moment. The Memphis area, the Memphis Airport radar site that's just south into DeSoto County. I'll draw that on for you. It's right about here-ish. That is getting a lower scan of this storm, sampling around 2,400 feet. Remember the Memphis radar site up in Millington, it was sampling around 4,200 feet, so about 2,000 feet lower. Some winds were nearly 70 miles per hour. So that's a pretty intense wind gust just on that lowest level scan of the radar site from the Memphis Airport radar. Unfortunately, we don't have the airport radar in our systems. We can't pull that up for you, but that's about where we're seeing around the Potts Camp area some very intense rainfall, and that's where we were also seeing from the Millington radar site, 2,000 feet up, still some strong winds showing up on radar. We'll get a sample of some of these winds here around this area as well, just to get a sense of it. So still 66 miles per hour there. Got a new scan in here as well, some stronger winds, 69 mile per hour winds, again around 4,000 feet up. So down towards the surface, or closer to the surface, about halfway down, around 2,400 feet. Still some very intense winds there around the Potts Camp and Winborn area. So I'm also looking at the Memphis Airport radar site, and yes, I also see those very strong winds showing up over 65 miles per hour. So many of these areas could still see some straight line wind damage. Whenever we talk about straight line wind damage, you can tell it is by say you've got a tree down across the street and then down a few city blocks, there's another tree down. If you take out a compass and sort of lay it parallel to the direction of those trees, you can tell if that was parallel winds, straight line winds, or if they were crossing, that could have been rotational winds. That's one way to survey storm damage, but hearing still some lightning here in East Memphis. So I want to swap back over to the radar here. Just a couple pops of lightning around Memphis, nothing quite as intense as it was earlier. The Hernando area, you're probably going to hear some rumblings of thunder picking back up, but you are not under a severe thunderstorm warning. All those roads are close together, just so you know. Thank you. Thank you for that update there, Brittany. Appreciate that. I did relay that to the National Weather Service, and they did acknowledge that report. So I appreciate that report. If anyone else has some reports of any tree damage, of any hail that you've seen this evening, any other severe weather reports, we would appreciate you getting that sent to us as well. Getting a few people added to our ABC 24 Memphis Weather Watchers Facebook page as well. So I'm going to jump towards that as well and see if there were any other reports. I see Carrie Schlafer there talking about some of the heavy rain around the Cockram area and high winds. Appreciate you watching with us this evening for everyone out there. But if you have not already joined our ABC 24 Weather Watchers group, I always click the thing in advance. You can scan this QR code. If you're watching us on Facebook, you can search ABC 24 Weather Watchers, and you can join that group as well. I'll keep a close eye on it here in the next 10 minutes, just if anyone else does jump in there. Of course, we've got about 150 people watching on YouTube, about 25 watching on Facebook as well, and however many who are still on air with us as well. We appreciate you watching with us this evening as we're just covering some of that severe weather. Memphis, I'll go ahead and give you the all clear. You can go to bed if you'd like. We're not going to be seeing anything else in Memphis. South Haven to Senatobia. You have some rain and probably some lightning right now, but it's not the severe thunderstorm. This is moving mostly east of our area now and is no longer going to be a primary threat for our core viewing area, but we do still have some just insane amount of lightning with this thunderstorm. It's looking less widespread, but still very frequent just in the last 10 minutes. 750 lightning strikes, 550 of that has been positive strikes. So positive strikes come out from the north, the upper part, not the north, the upper part of the thunderstorm. The lower part is where the negative charge collects, and that's where you get most of your lightning usually. But these are very tall thunderstorms, and they're producing a lot of ice, and that's where we're accumulating a lot of the positive charges. And so just an insane amount of lightning. Usually the ratio goes sort of the other direction. We see about twice as much, if not more, negative strikes than positive strikes, but positive strikes are the ones that can run way out along an anvil cloud, and they're sometimes referred to as a bolt from the blue, where you can have blue sky, but a thunderstorm is over there. You think, it's fine, it's over there, and then lightning cracks out from the top of the thunderstorm well ahead of the storm, and we see a few of those at the moment. I want to get my measuring tool here. So from the leading edge of that storm there, about 20 miles, 23 miles or so out ahead of that thunderstorm, we're still seeing that lightning reaching well ahead. So you always want to be very cautious when there is of course, when there's a tornado, Freudian slip there, but always cautious when there is a severe thunderstorm warning in the vicinity, or any thunderstorm for that matter. I referenced earlier, and a friend texted me catching the reference, but you know the old Fleetwood Mac song says thunder only happens when it's raining. Not true. Hate to be a pedant, but can be misleading as the lightning can jump out well ahead. You can also have what's called a dry thunderstorm, where the rain actually evaporates before it reaches the ground. That's called virga, but lightning can still be produced. So it's a great line, it's a great song, great album, but
not scientifically accurate. But I'll get off my soapbox for now. Of course, we're still seeing that chance for those very strong winds. Apologize for sort of getting a little off topic with it, but the situation isn't developing very quickly. At this point, we're running the risk of just repeating ourselves too much over if we just talk about the same exact thing. So we've got around the Hickory Flat area. This is probably where we're going to see the highest winds within this thunderstorm. Potts Camp to Hickory Flat, eventually to Myrtle, just outside of our viewing area, is where we've seen these thunderstorms pushing over the last couple of hours, and they're going to keep on, or last couple of minutes, I should say, they're going to keep on pushing east and southeast with this thunderstorm as well. I'm keeping an eye on the National Weather Service, seeing if they're updating any of these warnings. Let's see if they're going to update anything. They're asking for any reports out of Holly Springs. So if anyone has any reports or anyone they know out of Holly Springs, send them a link to this. And if you could please request them jump in the comments as well and let me know if there was any severe weather there in the Holly Springs area. I'd really appreciate that. Any reports that we get are always appreciated, just to sort of help verify things. Unfortunately, we don't have a power outage map in this system. I'll tell you what, Andrew, if you could pull Max 1 full here, we'll just keep the radar up. I'm going to jump over here on our Barron computer to see if this has an estimate of some of the power outages here as well. But with some of these thunderstorms, many of the power outages just come from the strong winds that can come from that. I'm going to have to read through a list, so just give me one moment here as I try and find this particular product over here. Don't think I'm going to find it. Oh, here it is. Current county power outages. So it looks like we do have some outages in Marshall County from that severe thunderstorm. Unfortunately, I don't think we have this routed into our into the back there, but there have been some reports of power outages out there, just not much for damage reports. I want to see if there's any more storm reports, so we can look at the recent reports here. Looks like they did add a couple of severe wind gust reports here. So this one we saw earlier, just north of Hernando. We were talking about that one. Trees down in a yard just off of Terra Drive there. And there was another one here as well, just to the north of 269. That one is a large tree across Pleasant Hill Road near Lauder Road. So that was the report that we had there from Lynette. So Lynette, appreciate that for you sending that. So the National Weather Service did put that report into the system. This also helps just sort of verify their severe thunderstorm warnings and just sort of allows them to know where to go examine severe weather reports. So this is a big report here from near the Forest City area. So this was back around 9:20 this evening, so a couple hours ago now. Numerous trees down on the south side of Forest City. Several power poles down, a church sustained roof damage, and a metal building sustained significant damage. So that was about 2 hours, 20 minutes ago there, when we had that line of storms just starting to develop. We also had some of the hail in there, so I get that hail report. I think it was 1 inch diameter hail. Yeah, 1 inch diameter hail around 9:25. So, so far only 3 wind reports, 1 hail report with those storms. But again, I'll ask you once again, share this with your friends. If you have anyone who lives in Marshall County, around the Holly Springs area, let me know if they've had any severe wind reports. Of course, this is just over the last 24 hours. These are some older reports from this morning south of the Batesville area. Some trees down on Morrow Road around 8:45 this morning. There in Panola County and Coahoma County, had another severe thunderstorm wind damage there. Several power poles were knocked down on New Africa Road. The time is just before 9 a.m. estimated by radar. So looking out on the wide view here, you can see we've had not just thunderstorms here tonight, but across the deep south and way back into the central plains, an abundance. This is slowing down the system. You can see the graphics not loading in properly. We've had an abundance of severe weather over the last several hours, even some tornadoes out there just east of Denver, multiple tornadoes out across Kansas and into Nebraska this evening. So this has been just one whole big complex of severe weather through the day today. There's even some snow on the backside of this up into the Colorado Rockies. So there was only about 50 miles separating a winter weather advisory for the Rockies and a tornado warning out into the plains just east of I-25 earlier. So a whole big system. We have been seeing sort of the tail end of this along a warm front that's going to lift through the area tomorrow and bring us some warmer temperatures. It's going to be humid tomorrow as well. And we have that single severe thunderstorm warning right now out across northern Mississippi. So I want to zip back into that just so we can cover all our bases, keep still a cautious eye on that. Looks like we still have some pretty intense heavy rainfall north of Hickory Flat. Now we're sort of switching over to the that changeover between our radar site in Memphis and the radar site down towards Columbus, Mississippi. So you can sort of see two different levels of that thunderstorm. Because as we said, the radar sites sort of go out and up and farther away from the surface. And eventually there's a crossover point and we get to one that's closer to the surface, farther away. So we're sort of seeing that transition here north of Hickory Flat. So that might be some heavy rainfall, maybe some hail developing in that as well. A couple of different things showing up with that. So I want to look at the velocities here. Looking at not the storm relative. So that's just right there. So you see the blue and the red. The light blue there is the corresponding 60 mile per hour plus, as is the pink to the red. As you look up towards the banner up here, I'll give you another quick update there. So you can sort of see here where we go from the red into the pink. That's where the severe weather transition is. And then from the lime green over to the light blue there, that's the transition from strong winds to severe winds out across the farther reaches of this as well. So this is all just a straight line wind signature right now. Really not seeing much for any more rotation for this. We saw a couple of spots there early on, just about an hour ago, where we were seeing some of that straight line wind. This is the last 30 minutes loop here, but we saw some outflow winds that had some sort of noisy rotation to it, but this is starting to move out of our viewing area. So I may go ahead and indicate if we could talk to our hub, Andrew, and let them know that we may drop off of air around the tail end of this warning. So this warning is until midnight. So the warning is until midnight. But for our viewing area coverage, I think we're going to go ahead and let ABC 24 and CW30 go back to regular programming at 11:45. We're going to stay on our streaming platform until the warning is allowed to expire for our viewing area. So if you're watching us on Facebook, we're going to stay on Facebook. If you're watching on YouTube, we're still going to be on YouTube as well. And of course on our streaming app 24 Plus. If you don't have it already, you can download the 24 Plus app on your Amazon Fire TV, your Apple TV, or your Roku device. All of that is where you can watch us on your smart TV. If you don't have a smart TV like me, you can also watch us on our app. You can download the app. I'll put that information on your screen as well. Download the app in the App Store and Google Play, or text app to 901-321-7520, and they'll send you a link of where you can download that app as well. But we do appreciate you sticking with us this evening on severe weather coverage here on ABC 24 and CW30. For now, I think we'll go ahead and let things go back to regular programming. If we need to, we'll jump back in. All right, we're back in regular programming now. All right, good deal, good deal. All right, so aside from that, thank you for sticking with us here on Facebook, on Apple, Roku, Fire, all that good stuff on 24 Plus, and on YouTube as well. If anyone else here is on YouTube watching and wants to leave a comment, you can jump over to Facebook. Sorry, we don't have the comments up on the YouTube stream. But we're still keeping a close eye on chat just for any updates, any questions, and any other severe weather reports as well. Give me just one moment, refresh myself with some water. Goodness, coming on 2 hours now. So getting a little bit of parched voice this evening. Still looks like we've got that strong wind there around the Myrtle area. I think I'm going to take a quick break. I'm going to go discuss something with our producer, Andrew, in the back here. So, Andrew, if you'll just pull up the radar here, pull that up full. I'm going to go mention something to you as well. I will be right back, chat. Just give me one quick moment. All right, chat, we are back. I've got a comment here from Brianna. So are we safe to sleep? No tornado watches, I believe. Yeah, so we haven't had a tornado watch. We haven't had a severe thunderstorm watch tonight. There's no warnings for a tornado at the moment. We do have a severe thunderstorm warning, though. So a point of clarification, Brianna. A watch is several hours. A warning is for the imminent threat of a single storm. A watch is for multiple storms. And a warning is for a short fuse time. So we're keeping an eye on that. No tornado warnings at the moment. So that's some good news, Brianna. I would say if you're anywhere north of Mississippi, you're clear. If you're if you're west of I-55 and north of the Mississippi border with Tennessee, you can go ahead and go to sleep. Looks like they're trimming back some of that warning now for that severe thunderstorm warning presently. We are still seeing some strong winds there in southern Tippah and Benton counties there. So still strong winds out that direction, just on the very southern edge of that storm as well. Yeah, Benton County's just strong storms, just some very strong winds at the moment. There's some noise with that appears as a bit of rotation, but it's not really severe or tornadic rotation. It's just sort of some pockets of some undulations, we'll call it, of just where those winds are. So you see, at this point, I'm not seeing much for straight line wind threat of the severe nature, but the thing is we're kind of in, we call it a radar hole, basically where two radars just really don't get much of the surface winds. I'm slowing down because I'm about to sneeze. Excuse me. We can't really see down all the way to the surface. We're seeing only around 4,500 feet in the air around this area, so it's difficult to tell what is happening at the surface. So with that, we still have a severe thunderstorm warning. I'll get that info on your screen with you as well. This is still until midnight tonight, so it still has another 15 minutes or so, and it's for the considerable threat for 70-mile-per-hour winds. We've seen some damage with this thunderstorm already from around the Hernando area through Holly Springs and down towards, what was that place called? Potts Camp. There's some strong winds nearer the surface around Potts Camp. If I pull up another radar program here, it doesn't look like it's showing up with 60-mile-per-hour winds from the Memphis airport radar. That one's just south of the South Haven area. That's up around 3,000 feet, so it's not seeing any severe winds around that area. Brianna is headed to bed. Thank you for streaming. Have a good night. Thank you for watching here. We appreciate you sticking around with us, Brianna. So yeah, if you are in Memphis, if you want to abandon me, if you want to leave, you can go ahead and go to sleep. We might still have a couple rumbles of thunder, but as far as the radar goes, it looks like we're just seeing some showers. Down towards Senatobia, you're also in the clear. Holly Springs in the clear. South Haven, Hernando, Byhalia, all in the clear there as well. Early Grove, still hearing some thunder probably around the Grand Junction area, but non-severe for your area too. As I say that, it looks like those numbers have dropped off as some folks have headed to bed. So appreciate you all sticking around with us as these storms begin to trail off. Still nearly 700 strikes of lightning here in the last 10 minutes. So some very, very intense lightning with these thunderstorms as well. Not a whole lot else happening though. That's the main threat, I would say, along with the 60-mile-per-hour winds. Still looking at that velocity signature, really hasn't shown up much recently. Blue Mountain, Gravestown, probably seeing some intense wind, but not quite severe. Ripley, it's going to start to pick up here very soon as well. So around the Ripley area, you're likely to see some strong winds, maybe severe as well. So you're still within that severe thunderstorm warning. I don't want to discount that, but it's just getting more and more difficult to tell what the surface winds are like from the severe thunderstorm warning. There's an update on the Highway 51 blockage. This is from DeSoto County Emergency Management. Multiple trees are down, blocking north and southbound Highway 51 between Green Tea and North Parkway Streets. This is the here around Hernando area. Additionally, a 3-car accident near Redemption Church and an 18-wheeler reported stuck near this area. Widespread power outages seen moving from Church and Highway 51 towards Pleasant Hill Road and Highway 51. So a lot of power outages here in DeSoto County this evening. I suppose you're not watching on your smart TV devices, but if you do have power outages during severe weather, you can also make sure you have the 24 app on your phone, ABC 24 app on your phone. You can also check the radar there. You can watch us live. You can watch us as we have coverage on there. I'll make sure this is muted so it doesn't come back through, but here you go, little version of me on my phone right there. You can watch us live as we cover severe weather, and you can watch our newscasts on there as well, just straight from your phone. Anytime I'm getting ready for work and just wondering what the forecast is, I'll watch Trevor on the midday as I'm getting ready to come in for my shift, just to sort of get briefed on what the news stories are for the day and for the forecast for the day, especially if I'm coming back in from vacation or whatever. Yeah, at this point, we're just sort of babysitting the radar as these storms are passing through. Lots and lots of heavy, heavy rainfall with this. There might still be some small hail with that as well. You see that bright blue spot in there? It's registering as 1.1 inches according to our little algorithm here. The thing is, though, this is going to melt as it falls through the sky, as it gets down to the surface. Current temperatures here around the area, I'll have to zip back up. Current temperature around the Oxford area, we'll use that as a proxy, around 75 degrees. So mid 70s, that's still going to melt it. You know, if you ever had a piece of ice that got dropped on the floor and the dog didn't eat it, you see how quickly that melts. That's going to be melting as it's falling through the sky as well. Technically, it'd probably melt a little bit slower because it's melting through conduction on your floor, which probably wicks away the heat a little faster than just the air, but 6 of one, half dozen of the other. Getting back to radar now. Again, backside of this system, still some rain and thunderstorms across parts of eastern Arkansas, non-severe. I-55 corridor, non-severe. Holly Springs, you are no longer in that severe thunderstorm warning. Really just southern parts of Benton and Tippah County this evening is where we have that severe thunderstorm warning still present. This is also into New Albany and just into Pontotoc. Pontotoc and Union County, I believe, is where we've got some of those. We've got a report from James Bishop, one of our partners, one of the North Mississippi storm chasers, has a report of trees, fences, and roof damage in Hernando. So it looks like Hernando got walloped by that severe thunderstorm earlier, possibly by some rotating winds as well. Again, can't confirm if that was a tornado yet. The National Weather Service will survey it here in the next couple of days or so. Just keeping a close eye on the National Weather Service chat just to see. They are working on a new warning to come out downstream of the current polygon. The polygon just being that yellow border outline of that current severe thunderstorm warning. So we'll wait and see if that includes any more of our area. Once we're all clear here in the Memphis area, though, we will sign off from on air. Hopefully we are allowed to drop off that coverage here pretty soon. But fewer and fewer folks within our viewing area are being affected by this. We may at midnight just drop to a silent stream with intermittent break-ins where I'll pop back in here and there. One, to just give my voice a rest, but to sort of reduce our coverage as the threat begins to diminish. So we're keeping an eye out for that new warning coming downstream here. Probably going to include places like Boonville and Baldwin if I were to hazard a guess, but that's just a guess. We'll wait for the National Weather Service to update that. There it is. Boonville, Baldwin included within that. And it still includes the Ripley area and southern parts of now Alcorn County also within that severe thunderstorm warning. So let's go ahead and track that out as that new severe thunderstorm warning also includes the 70 mile per hour wind threat. This now goes until, wait for it, 1:15 a.m. We'll likely not be on for that entire time with the full extended coverage that we've been providing, but we will have the stream up till the end of that. It's moving now around 40 miles per hour, so it's sort of picked up its pace over the last little bit. So what did I say, 40 miles per hour? Yeah, 40. With quarter-sized hail, so the hail threat has sort of increased with this as well. So we're going to clear that off, zoop this up there. This will go all the way out to Tishomingo there, well east of our viewing area. But I'm going to put a wide curl there on the front of this, pull it out over the next little while here. So the DeMoss area, we're looking around midnight, getting to your area, Halltown. Again, outside of our viewing area around 12:07. I'm actually going to swap this around here and just cover our area, see if there's anywhere in that region there. Let me just, there goes the old warning. And let me just redraw this just for some of our viewing area right there in southern southern Alcorn County. So Dumas around midnight happening right now. Jumpertown around 12:15. Biggersville probably around 12:25. We'll call it 12:30 or so. Altitude around 12:34. And Burton around 12:43. So we're keeping a close eye on these thunderstorms. I'm going to stay with this, though we are going to just pull radar full for a little bit. I'm going to take a quick break, and I'll come back with an update on this as conditions warrant. So we're going to sort of switch to a method of, as if we are on air, and we're just going back to regular programming. I'm going to still be here. I'm going to pop in every few minutes to give you an update. So if you just want to keep this running in the background and listen in for any future updates, I will provide those as we go. Sophia, appreciate you watching with us this evening. Hope you're staying safe as well. I'll be back probably about once every 5 minutes or so just to give you updates on this severe thunderstorm warning. For now, I'm meteorologist Kit Thomas. Appreciate you watching.
All right, a quick update here as we've got that severe thunderstorm warning still in place across parts of Benton County, Alcorn County, and a little bit of Tippah County as well. Considerable severe thunderstorm threat for... I've got Facebook up as well over here. A considerable severe thunderstorm threat for 70-mile-per-hour winds and 1-inch diameter hail with that thunderstorm, and abundance of lightning as well, covering up some of the towns showing up there. Ripley is in sort of the core of this thunderstorm at the moment. If we look at the velocity recently, there hasn't been a major gust of wind that is prominent on radar at the surface or nearer the surface, but around the Dumas area there, at some of the higher scans of that thunderstorm, we are still seeing probably around 4,500 feet, some 60-mile-per-hour winds as well. So we're keeping a close eye on that. I'll have more updates as the storms evolve. The National Weather Service is going through a shift change right now, and they're going to keep a close eye on this situation as well. And we'll likely update some of the severe thunderstorm polygon in the next little while. So I'll bring you those updates as we have them. For now, I'm going to go ahead and stay back on mute. Stay tuned if you need any more updates.
All right, the time now is 12:15. I've got that little next update at 12:15 up there in the banner, so I'm going to go ahead and clear that off. But quick little update for you. Still have that severe thunderstorm warning across parts of a little outside of the Benton County area there, into Tippah County and into southern Alcorn County as well. So that severe thunderstorm warning is for 70-mile-per-hour winds, so it is still a strong thunderstorm, though we're not seeing very widespread impacts for those damaging winds. We could be seeing them moving into Prentiss County shortly. So as we just look at some of the wind speeds on our velocity detector here, you can see just on that outskirts of Tippah County there, northeast of the Dumas area, northwest of Boonville, that's the area where we're seeing some of those stronger winds blowing away from the radar site up in Millington. So those are going to be moving into sort of the northern parts of, like I said, the Prentiss County area very shortly. That'll be outside of our viewing area, but the Rienzi area there, south of Corinth, that's still there in Alcorn County where we could see some impact from some of those strong winds. So I want to keep that in mind. I want to keep you informed of that. We're going to carry on with our intermittent coverage here, online, on air, on our streaming platforms, on our smart TV apps. So if you are still with us, we do appreciate it. I'll have another update coming up here in about 3 minutes at 12:20. Back now, meteorologist Kit Thomas still here, voicing over some of the severe thunderstorm update here, as we still have that severe thunderstorm warning for parts of Tippah and Benton County, though most of the threat there is moving out of that area. Southern Alcorn County, you can sort of see right here, we're getting into sort of an interruption to the radar beam there at that distance, but between Collinstown and Rienzi, we've got some of that strong wind showing up there. So what I'm looking at is this shade of pink, not this band of pink, but these little pixels here of some of the red to pink. That's where we're seeing some severe wind gusts, damaging wind signature, non-rotating winds, straight line winds, possibly moving to the Rienzi area there, down towards the Boonville area. We could see that right there along Highway 45. Biggerville, you're probably on the northern fringe of where we could see that. I've got it pulled all the way to the edge here. I can't really center it up because then we switch over to the radar site out of Columbus, Mississippi. And the thing is, the winds are moving perpendicular to the radar site. So that's the first arrow there is where the radar is looking. The second arrow moving east-west is the direction of those winds. So it makes it very difficult to sample the actual winds. So we have to sort of scoot it all the way over here to get the better sample from the Memphis Millington radar site. We're going to keep this up here. We'll have another update coming up in just 3 minutes. Time now is 12:25. Another update here for you. We continue, not a whole lot much has changed in the last few minutes, but we do still have That's severe thunderstorm warning. Of course, we have that considerable threat tag you see there on the large box at the bottom. That means we've got a chance for some more widespread damage from the severe thunderstorm warning, potentially for some large hail. Excuse me, let me grab the different tool here. Sometimes it can mean large hail, sometimes it can mean high winds. At this point, it is for 70-mile-per-hour wind gusts that are going out of range of some of these radars here, so it's very difficult to tell, but anywhere between Allentown and Rienzi, you want to be sheltered, staying away from doors and windows and exterior walls, making sure that you are keeping an eye on some of those strong winds that could down some trees and power lines. A new warning is coming from the National Weather Service for the northern end of this severe thunderstorm, so we're keeping a close eye on this. Instead of just dipping out here every couple of minutes, I'm going to wait until that new warning comes out, and then we'll get back to that 5-minute in and out alert for you. But most of this has been, there's that new warning, most of this has been moving through northern Mississippi over the last several hours here. Just in the last 1 hour, it has left Marshall County and is now arriving into Alcorn County. So there's that new severe thunderstorm warning. So I'll pop that information up on your screen here. I'll see what the details are for that at the moment. So this does include Corinth. This is no longer the considerable severe thunderstorm threat. It is now down to the baseline, which is 1-inch diameter hail and 60-mile-per-hour winds. Of course, we're going to keep an update on this storm until the warnings are allowed to expire for our viewing area. Corinth and the Alcorn County area is on the very fringe of our viewing area here. We are going to stay with you through the remainder of that warning, but the Boonville area, Tishomingo, Iuka, those are cities that are not within our viewing area. So once they are allowed to move on to that area, we will drop off of our coverage. So we appreciate you watching us on ABC 24, Facebook, YouTube, on 24 Plus, on Fire TV, Amazon, and Roku as well. Amazon Fire, I think I left one out there. Apple TV, that's the third one there. We appreciate you watching with us here. We've been covering this since around 9:35, 9:40 or so this evening when some severe weather started up out into parts of Arkansas. But if you are in the Memphis area still watching, we appreciate you sticking around with us tonight. Memphis is quiet and clear and not expecting any more severe thunderstorms. But over the next several hours, we'll give you a quick little look at the forecast. We're still going to have that complex of thunderstorms, which you see is a little delayed here, a little behind on the model, but that is going to continue to push east into northeastern Alabama, probably by around 2 a.m., completely out of Mississippi. Still some lingering showers and maybe another surge of some thunderstorms by early morning. So this is around daybreak here, out towards the east, McNairy County, maybe as far west as Hardeman County. We could see some thunderstorms tomorrow morning. We'll keep an eye on that. But then through the day tomorrow, we stay mostly quiet, winds out of the south. And then overnight, we've got some storms that'll roll in from the west, and that could be around 2 a.m., some pretty strong storms across northeastern Arkansas. And then around daybreak, 5 a.m. to 7 a.m., we've got another line of severe weather that could be coming in Tuesday morning through around 9 a.m. and then clearing out by around midday. Mid-afternoon, we could see another round of some thunderstorms coming in, but after that, cold front swings through, and that'll drop our temperatures back into the 70s as we go into the later part of the week. The Tuesday morning and afternoon severe weather threat, about a medium chance for the wind gusts and the severe large hail, tornadoes, flooding rain, also threats, but not quite as intense of threats. Looking at your 7-day forecast, haven't talked about this very much, but we do have those temperatures dropping through the week. I'll have to verbally correct this graphic as now we've moved past midnight, so everything is advanced forward one day. Tuesday is our weather impact alert day. Wednesday is not a weather impact alert day. We'll update that here just real quickly for you so we can keep that on tap for us. But we do see those temperatures dropping down into the 20s or not to 20s, dropping down into the 70s. My goodness, I talked about too many words today. 70s on the way as we head into the later part of the week. There we go. We've updated that graphic, so the weather impact alert is on the correct day for you there. I'll have another update on that severe thunderstorm warning just coming in here to the Weather Center in the last 10 minutes or so, last 5 minutes really. We've seen that just around the Alcorn County area. So we're pulling back up radars, taking a moment to load, so bear with me. But the Corinth area under a severe thunderstorm warning this evening. That is going to be for 60-mile-per-hour winds and 1-inch diameter hail possible. The Boonville area also looking at that threat, but Benton and Tippah County, I would say the severe weather threat is pretty much over for you. We're just looking into parts of McNairy County and Alcorn County until 1:15 for that severe weather threat. I'll have another update coming up here in about 5 minutes. Hi there, me again. Quick little update for you. And as I'm starting this in, I noticed that I typed the wrong time there for 12:30. I meant 12:35, but here we are. We've got a quick little update for you. Not much has changed, so that's the good news we can bring to you, but we do still have that severe thunderstorm warning for the Corinth area there in Alcorn County. This is also into a little sliver of far southeastern McNairy County as well, on into Hardin and Tishomingo County. That'll eventually go over into the northwest corner of Alabama as well. Not a whole lot happening outside of that, but we do still have that chance for some strong winds. Looking at the wind velocity, it's difficult to see on radar as it's sort of in a radar hole here. Northeastern Mississippi doesn't have much for local low-level radar coverage, but still keeping a close eye on this. We're going to bring you another update. I'll probably do the next update at 12:45, so we appreciate you sticking around with us here. Just a quick little update on some of these warnings once again. This southern warning here, I'll have to switch it over here to the radar. This southern warning here, this one is for potential 60-mile-per-hour winds and 1-inch diameter hail. That is a drop down from the 70-mile-per-hour winds we previously had. Lee, Prentiss, Tippah, Tishomingo counties there within that storm. And then off towards the northern side of this, as we were just looking at the Corinth area, you're sort of up next with this as that storm is starting to come in. We're not looking at any rotation with these storms, but could still see some very strong winds moving into Corinth. So once again, I'll be back in about 7 minutes or so with your next update. Well, hey there, meteorologist Kit Thomas coming back in for another update here as we do have that severe thunderstorm warning still around the Corinth area. It sounds like it's getting pretty rowdy around the Corinth area right now as we do have that line of storms has just started to come into the Corinth region there. Not quite as dense of the lightning as we have seen with some of these thunderstorms recently, but some information from the National Weather Service is that some damaging winds are heading into Glenn, Mississippi at the moment. So I'm going to take a look at that a little bit closer in here, see if we can find Glenn to pop up. There it is, right there, far eastern parts of Alcorn County. It just popped up a moment ago. Oh goodness, come on back, Glenn. There it is. All right, so just outside the Corinth area, severe winds are coming in. So make sure that you are staying sheltered, staying within your zone of safety. So that's going to be the most interior room of your home at the lowest level. So that's going to be where you're going to be safest from a tornado and from any sort of severe weather as well. Corinth area probably getting pretty rowdy as well with that strong wind. If we take a look at the velocity, it's been difficult to see exactly where those severe wind gusts are, as this is sort of in sort of a dead zone of the of the radars, where it can't quite see down all the way to the surface, but we're still seeing some strong winds at the mid-levels, possibly translating down to the surface as some severe winds as well. So the Corinth area, again, Rienzi just to your north and towards Glenn, Mississippi as well, excuse me. That's going to eventually move into the Tishomingo County area, also into McNairy County. The Mitchie area could see some strong winds shifting up towards that area as well. We're keeping a close eye on things here at ABC 24 CW30. We're streaming online this evening. We have dropped coverage off air just to allow our on-air coverage to, or our on-air programming to continue, but we are still going to see the need for updates on our streaming platforms here over the next little bit. So if you are watching, we will continue to update that every 5 to 10 minutes or so. I'll probably have my next update come right around 12:55, so I'm going to leave the information on the screen. One thing to update as we're wrapping up things here for this update here, we did see that severe thunderstorm warning drop off of Tippah County. So now for the local 24 viewing area, it is just Alcorn County and McNairy County within our viewing area that are under that severe thunderstorm warning. That is until 1:15 a.m. And once that warning is allowed to expire, we will end our coverage. So we appreciate you watching with us this evening. We'll go ahead and bring you another update in about 7 minutes. Hi there, I've got a quick comment I want to answer here from Shelby. Shelby, I appreciate your comment and sticking with us this evening. Mitchie is going to see some, probably some strong winds and some heavy rain here in the next little while. So Mitchie, the Guys area, Cypress, this line of storms is sort of moving north. We'll just zip this back over the last 20 minutes or so. You can see how it's moving just north of northeast or so. On the northern end of that. So Mitchie, you're probably going to see that line of storms moving in within the next 20 minutes. So I'm just going to draw this back, get a quick, easy estimate on the motion of this storm. Here, I'll just get my distance tool out here. So the last half hour, it's moved about 16 miles. So we'll call that maybe about a 35 mile per hour forward speed on that. So we'll go ahead and clear that arrow off, and I'll get out my draw tool here. About 35 for the northern edge of this, moving about northeast or so. So the Acton area, that's right about where Mitchie is, 1252. You'll probably hear within the next few minutes, 5 minutes or so, we'll probably see that storm getting into Mitchie. Eventually around 12:59 there on Mitchie there, about 1 a.m. Chambers, eventually we'll be seeing it around Chambers, possibly around 1:04, and Mount Vinson about 1:20, though it may still push a little farther east than this crude estimate here. So we'll keep you updated on this. My next update I'll have in just a few minutes. Alrighty, folks, as we're coming up to the top of the hour this evening, I'm going to sort of reset. If you've fallen asleep watching us, we appreciate you. Hopefully it didn't wake you up. But everything is starting to wind down across the Mid-South, though we do still have some severe weather ongoing out towards the Corinth area. Moving up towards Mitchie. So a few folks still watching with us this evening. So I want to give you some more updates. So currently, here's the situation. We've had some severe thunderstorms moving across northern Mississippi over the last several hours. I'm going to just loop this over the last 4 hours here. So they started off around Wynne, Arkansas, moved through around the Hernando area, Holly Springs, and has sort of curved back up into Tennessee a little bit around the Corinth to Mitchie area there, around Corinth, Mississippi, Mitchie, Tennessee. So this is the last 4 hours, pretty long duration severe event on a pretty mild severe weather day, mild expectations at least for some of the severe weather that we've seen get a little more rowdy than maybe initially expected. But overall, we've had a few rounds of some damaging winds. So you can see some of the storm reports that we have had across parts of DeSoto County here. A few have come in recent hours here. I'll get you an update here. This one just north of Interstate 69. Multiple trees down on Wilson Ridge. Off towards the eastern side, a tree across Pleasant Hill Road near Lauder Road, possibly Laughter Road. I apologize if I'm mispronouncing that. And trees down in a yard just off of Terra Drive there, just north end of Hernando there. And then also we had some 1-inch diameter hail and some pretty extensive damage here south of Forest City around the Bon Air area. Numerous trees down on the south side of Forest City. A church sustained roof damage and a metal building with some significant damage. So some pretty intense winds with that. We also had a tornado warning in parts of DeSoto County. I know the outdoor warning sirens lasted for a while with that warning. Though it expired pretty quickly. Now we just have in Alcorn County and far southeastern McNairy County, a little severe thunderstorm warning. This is for 60-mile-per-hour winds and 1-inch hail, so that is the baseline expectation for severe weather. And they're trimming that warning a little bit now. The Rienzi area is still within that warning. Corinth, Glenn within that. Iuka also just outside of our viewing area. They have trimmed the back edge of that severe thunderstorm warning, but it continues until 1:15 this morning. So we are going to keep an eye on that storm here as well. The Mitchie area hasn't quite seen it yet. I know I mentioned earlier that it would be about 5 minutes before it was there, but it's sort of taking this this northeastern motion / pivot. So it's not quite pushing all the way northeast. It's just sort of rolling maybe just south of you there. So if we just loop this over the last hour, you can kind of see what I'm talking about, how it's sort of pushing north, but it's not quite following through north. So the Guys area, eventually Mitchie and Nixon, may see some outflow winds from this, may see some heavy rain from this as well, and definitely hearing some thunder and lightning, especially to your south, probably seeing a flicker of lightning every couple of minutes or so, or a few times every minute, as we've had some abundant lightning over the last couple of hours here. But some intense lightning south of there towards the Boonville area and into Tishomingo County. We're going to keep updating every 5 to 10 minutes or so until this warning is allowed to expire. So we do appreciate you all hanging around with us late this evening as we still have some of this severe weather ongoing. Very likely that 1:15 will be the end of our live stream. So we'll be back probably around 1:10. And we'll carry that through the end of the warning. But for now, meteorologist Kit Thomas will take graphics full once again. We'll get that paused once more, and we'll be back in about 10 minutes. Alrighty, folks, it is now 1:11 a.m. We're going to carry this coverage through the rest of this warning as things are really starting to wind down this evening. The severe weather threat pretty much wrapping up for our viewing area. The National Weather Service doesn't look like they're indicating any need to continue these warnings, and actually they have already canceled some of these warnings. So the severe thunderstorm warning for Lee County outside our viewing area is canceled. For Alcorn and Tishomingo County is canceled, and Hardin County, southeastern McNairy and Hardin County, excuse me, let me switch that out, will expire at 1:15. So Alcorn County, we can address you as clear of that warning. But Hardin County and McNairy County set to expire at 1:15. So our system hasn't quite updated just yet as those just coming in. Sometimes it doesn't quite update in time. But there is still some intense heavy rainfall around the New Albany area. Again, down I-22 outside our viewing area, but non-severe at the moment. And pretty much all of the severe threat has diminished. We still have a chance for some scattered showers overnight. As we just looped this, you see there's sort of a warm front that's lifting through our area at the moment across parts of Arkansas and northern Mississippi. That's where we've had most of this severe weather, though most of the severe weather is now across the front and not really tapping into the main instability. But that was sort of where we had that tornado warning. It was right along the front. We had that bit of rotation that just fed into that system. But as this front lifts through the area over the next several hours, that's going to bring us some warmer temperatures. So that's going to, like I said, lift through off towards the northeast over the next few hours here. Let's take a look at the forecast. Some of the models have been getting a better grasp on this recently. Just in the most recent model runs, you see that we've got that complex of storms. It's more intense than reality is, so we're keeping that in mind. But most of these storms clearing out here over the next hour or so with still some lingering showers. As we go through our day on Monday, we're still going to have some clouds around the area, but mostly quiet as far as rain goes. But then as we get into 2 a.m., we're going to have a wave of severe storms across Arkansas, dying out as they get into eastern Arkansas. By tomorrow morning, though, this is around 5 a.m. I say tomorrow morning, technically Tuesday morning, since technically today is Monday. It's technically right, but after daybreak tomorrow and then into Tuesday morning daybreak, we've got another chance for some severe weather. This could be a severe weather event right around your morning commutes. We'll be keeping that in mind. Possibly have some morning coverage from Chief Meteorologist Trevor Burchett at that morning time frame. That'll push off around 9 a.m. at this model's estimate, and then clearing out by early afternoon. Later in the afternoon, we still have that southern wind bringing in warm air and moisture for us, so we could see another surge of some thunderstorms right along the cold front as that starts to swing through. So as I mentioned, cold front comes in. As we head into Wednesday, the winds start to shift more out of the northwest, bringing in drier and cooler air for our area. So the storm threats for Tuesday, we do have a level 3 threat of severe weather along the Mississippi and points east. So that level 3 threat is for the medium chance of large hail and damaging wind gusts. A lesser threat for tornadoes, as well as some isolated flash flooding, is possible, though it doesn't look like it's going to be a very widespread threat. Here's a look at that severe weather outlook for our Tuesday here across the area. We do have that level 3 threat, like I said, along the Mississippi and points east. Our day 1 outlook for the day today, we have that level 3 back to our west here, so that's going to be just outside our viewing area, dying out around the 2 a.m. time frame, and then eventually getting to our area after that. On the next day. So taking one last look at radar, we should have all of those warnings expired this moment now, and that is the case. So we do appreciate everyone who has stuck around with us this evening. Still a few lingering here. Maybe a few folks fell asleep watching YouTube. I know I do that every now and then, and I'm probably going to do that tonight. So with that, I'm going to show you the 7-day forecast, and then we will wrap up stream. Andrew, if you could pull up our ABC 24 Plus promo graphic in just a moment. We'll get to that if you can find that. I would appreciate that. I think my earpiece has actually died. No, it's died. So if once you grab that, pull it up, and I would appreciate that. But for now, at least we're looking at the 7-day forecast. Weather impact alert day for Tuesday. Don't have the Monday on that graphic, so let me just show you Monday. We're looking at scattered thunderstorms, again, late tonight, maybe some morning showers as well. 85 degrees for our high here on Tuesday, 83 down towards Holly Springs area, 84 up towards Covington, and 87 out in Forest City. Looking as we, again, on the 7-day forecast, we are going to see those temperatures cooling down quite a bit. Sunny on Wednesday with 80 degrees. It's going to feel nice and dry as well. It's going to be a beautiful day there. 75 on Thursday, 74 on Friday with a low on Friday morning at 55 degrees. So it is going to be quite chilly even, definitely on the cool side of things. And we'll see those temperatures sort of rebound very briefly as we get into the weekend, and another couple chances of some thunderstorms as well. So we'll have to keep an eye out for that. Unfortunately, it is coming on our weekend, so we'll have to deal with the consequences of that, unfortunately. But aside from that, it looks like we are going to be a little on the quieter side. Looking at the 6 to 10 day outlook here, it looks like most of the eastern U.S. is going to be trending below average as we come near the end of the month of May. I want to look at the 8 to 14 day outlook if I can find that really quickly. Where is it? There we go. 8 to 14 day temperature outlook. As we head into early June, we're going to start off meteorological summer on a slightly cooler note. And since we're going to be bookending May with starting off below average and ending below average, we'll probably wind up with most of the month averaging out to a below average month. So that's definitely some nice graces for us as we usually get pretty hot and muggy here in the month of May. I moved here in May, and unloading a U-Haul and the heat index in the mid to upper 90s was not fun, but definitely been a fun year here in Memphis so far. So appreciate you watching this evening. Going to go ahead and conclude our coverage this evening and cancel the live stream. For everyone here at ABC 24 CW30, thank you for watching us. I appreciate everyone in the back, everyone in the booth, every one of our producers and editors and automators and managers for sticking around and helping us out this evening. For now, I'm meteorologist Kit Thomas. We'll see you tomorrow.